Hello. Oh, hold on, my headphones aren't working. 1 second. He wanted to listen, and I think just happens to be in the next room, but you know.
I think that will be what we want. Let me check something really quick. All right. I think that's everything. We are live. Did you join using the link I shared on Foundry?
The Twitch. No. That one. That there. Okay, got it.
All right. Alrighty. Alrighty. So, Christine, Porkchop, you all have completed a series of complicated dealings with the Gunnarsson family. And after completing all of that and shipping off the Gunnarsons to Thrigrin, you've returned to Uthorim to take a few days for yourselves and try and plan what comes next. The following morning, Chad and Galaxia are whisked away somewhere. You don't know where. And Thazal lets himself out early on in the morning, and you're left alone in the mansion in Uthorim. What is it that you wish to do with the day and the time that you have?
So, I think primarily I want to... Now I'm getting distracted by the music because it's very loud. Where's the music coming from? Foundry?
So there's a music tab on Foundry.
Music. Audio player. Ambient.
You should be able to put the sliders down or up if you want.
Oh, man, that was so loud. I was like, oh, I can't hear myself. Okay. So, I guess first I want to try to contact the, what were their names? The people who contacted me about trying to save the lycanthropes on the other plane. I want to, like, say hi to them and see what their plan is.
How are you going to do that?
How did they contact me?
You saw...
I had a dream about them.
You had some kind of dream vision. They reached out to you somehow through it.
Uh-huh. Okay. I guess the first thing to try is just take some time, like settle down, try to meditate a little bit, which I don't know how to do, and see if I can get Saloon to talk to me and tell her I want to help with her mission.
Okay. How are you doing that? Just like sitting outside, praying?
Yeah, like go find some like nice like grove of trees or some like peaceful natural location. Try to get closer to the Feywild where she lives.
Alright, so you wander through the city, Uthorin, looking for a shady grove, and eventually you find one near the riverbank, and you settle down underneath a weeping willow tree. You kick back and try to focus on Saloon, asking for her help. Make a religion check for me.
Oh, should I do it in here?
Mm-hmm. If you can. If it's too much work, then do whatever you want, but...
Yeah, no. Plus 4, 10.
You sit there for half an hour, kind of like watching the river go by, and you're like, Saloon, what do I do? After half an hour of no reply and no insight into anything particular, you feel like this particular avenue isn't working very well.
Alright, next line of defense. Can you, if you are scrying on someone, can you choose to reveal yourself?
No. Well, not unless you have a way to interact with them on their end.
We have that ball of scrying, which I was thinking of. Like, I could scry on one of them and, like, figure out where they are, potentially. So I guess I'll try to do that next.
Okay.
I'll sit down with the crystal ball.
So you're scrying on who? Sumia Silvertail or Togma?
So Sumia Silvertail was the one, let me remember. She was the one that helped me talk to Saloon, and then Togma was the one that was in the cave.
Yeah, Togma was the leader of the tribe, and Sumia Silvertail was the Saloon's, like, high priestess.
So I kind of know where they are. They're probably where they were previously. So I guess I'll scry on Sylvia.
Yeah, that's a nat 1. You are pulled out of your body. You sit here under this willow tree next to the river, and you zip across the continent. You see now you're positioned in the top of a room, a large arched chamber, and you see Sumia Silvertail walking confidently across this room out into the open sun. You recognize it as the front entrance to the Hall of Saloon in Avaricity, the airship sort of hub in the southwest of the Verdants. You've been there before. It's where you guys traveled from.
Right. That's where the Grasping Fist was, right?
Yes, the Order of the Grasping Fist.
Order of the Grasping Fist. Alright, so she's there. And I guess wait, I'm stupid. So is Galaxia with us right now?
With
me? Has she left already?
She left this morning. If you go back to the mansion, you might run into her.
Okay, well that would be the easiest course of action because she could in theory contact these people for me. So I'll try to do that. I'll wander back to the mansion, see if I can catch her before she leaves.
So you go back. You do find her there. She's strolling through the halls, seemingly in a hurry. You tell her that you're hoping that she could take you to this location. She informs you that she's all tapped out for today, but tomorrow morning she could likely take you to the city of Avaricity.
Does she have sending left? To
She
just
does,
let them know that ask her to send sending to Sumia Silvertail and tell her that Porkchop wants to come realize the mission of saving the lycanthropes and would like to do so very soon. AKA tomorrow.
Glexia closes her eyes and thinks for 20 seconds. She opens them again and says, yeah, they said that we hear you. We look forward to seeing you again, Porkchop. We have much to discuss. That is all.
Perfect. Great, so I have the day in Uthorum then to mess around.
Yeah.
Huh? I can't find poison in Uthorum.
Probably not.
And I find, I guess, the people who were stalking our house, they got me some, ingredients, right? Some, alchemy.
Yes. Your tower
stuff.
here in the house is well stocked.
I guess I want to go fiddle with my alchemy bench, because I haven't really gotten the chance to do that.
Yeah. So you go up to the top of your tower, and you explore it for the first time. It is a tall, narrow space with multiple shelves jutting out from the circular walls that come up to a very narrow point high above. There are tables covered in glass beakers and chemistry equipment, alchemy supplies. You spend a few hours messing around with it, getting familiar with it, and they have a variety of instructional booklets as well. If you'd like, you can make a Arcana check or a Nature check to try and brew some stuff or make things in particular.
I want to make things. I got a +4. That's a 13 Arcana.
13. What are you trying to make?
I don't really know what my options are.
I would say any common
potions,
potion you could probably craft in one day.
I'm looking up a quick list of common potions to see what might be good. Potion of drunk muscles, potion of half invisibility. What are these things?
Potion of climbing you could make.
Potion of liar's tongue, huh? That's a cool one.
You can make a potion of healing. Easy enough.
That's boring. I already poured those.
It's true.
I have 6 of those.
If you spend the entire day working dawn to dusk, you could probably make an uncommon potion.
It's too many options. I have to read them all. I'll make a potion of bless. That sounds reasonable.
Potion of bless?
Yes.
Alright. So I'll say, with that roll, it takes you the majority of the day until about 6 p.m. around dinner time. You get lost in the arcane strategy of making this particular potion. You have to go and get some holy water from the nearby temple and run back with it. But afterwards, you do have a potion of bless, and it costs you virtually nothing besides time, mainly because you already have all these supplies provided for you, ready to go.
Right, because what's-his-name did a great job at gathering everything I need.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay. Well, I will put that in my inventory and call it a night and just hang out with whoever's left at home until the morning.
You eat dinner by yourself. It's provided for you, but no one else is around. It seems like everyone's off doing something. You sleep through the night, get a long rest, and wake up feeling pristine the next morning.
Lovely. I mean, presumably Galaxia is still there because she's supposed to teleport me.
Galaxia comes down that morning. She looks a little bit worse for wear, like she's been running around a lot doing things, and she says, I can spare a trip today. Where are we going again?
Where you been, Galaxia? What you doing?
I went to the jungles for a bit. It's been a bit of a journey. I'm going to Ikesh again tomorrow, I think. I need to do some more research.
Casual. We are going to the Order of the Grasping Fist, that tower where we met Sumia Silvertail.
Excellent. Well, you know the drill. She holds out a hand.
Hate this. Alright, big breath.
You word of recall to Nangshi Monastery and plane shift to the open thoroughfare outside at the center of Avaricity. It's now midsummer. Last time you were here it was pretty chilly and snow-covered. There are oak trees blooming. There is, not blooming, but like in full lushness. You now see that the entire forest around you is actually quite expansive and green. But you do see a dozen or so airships kind of floating about overhead. The hustle and bustle of multiple people going wherever. And then the two structures of the Temple of the Saloon and the Tower of the Grasping Fist kind of jutting out over it all. Go into the temple?
Familiar with the place? Yeah, I don't really feel the need to look around. I'll go straight there.
You head that way. Galaxia says, good luck. I'll send you sending every morning if you need me to pick you up sometime.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Take care. And she disappears into a small little blip of smoke. You've never actually been on the... I guess you have maybe a couple times. Seen her go without you. It's an odd sight for sure. But you make your way to the Temple of Saloon. You walk in through the large open doors and you see the acolytes hustling and bustling about. What do you do?
I'm just gonna stop one of them and ask a little imperiously for Sumia Silvertail, please.
The acolyte says, yes, the priestess is currently out for a daily visit to the tribe on the east. Do I need to leave a message for her?
Can you contact her now?
Well, they look kind of mildly annoyed that they were in the middle of something. You've stopped them. I probably can. Is it urgent?
I would say so.
All right. What is it?
Another Porkchop is here and she needs to talk to her.
I see. All right, one moment. She thinks and closes her eyes, and you just sense that she's sent off sending. Her face goes kind of surprised, and she says, oh, all right, well, she'll be here in a few minutes for you. She looks at you oddly. Have a good day.
What I thought. Thank you.
She walks off, looking back curiously. After about 5 minutes, as you stand at the main entrance hall, you see over this large cliffside a very large and silvery white shaggy creature crawls up over the edge of the cliff and begins loping towards you with a galloping kind of gait. About 20 feet away from the base of the stairs, it stops, gets up on 2 feet, and slowly morphs back into the diminutive and familiar shape of Sumia Silvertail, the elven creature. This creature was almost like a lion in a sense. It had a long silvery white hair and almost like a shaggy fluffy lion. But anyway...
is that something I can wild shape into?
No. Well, you could wild shape into a were-lion or a were-tiger, same stat block. But yeah. So,
alright, solid.
She strolls up, again, eyes closed. She does not seem to need to look to understand where she is or what she's doing. She sniffs the air and says, ah, yes, Porkchop. I'd recognize that scent. How can I help you today? You've come all this way due to our message, I assume.
Yeah, you said you wanted to do this thing. I'm here. Let's go. Let's do the thing.
Well, it's a little bit more complicated than just doing the thing. We should go meet with Togma and we'll give you the full explanation. Come. And she turns and begins walking briskly.
Farewell.
You follow her.
Blindly follow her.
She jumps like agilely down the side of this cliffside. Like she can't see where she's going, but she's obviously done this path many, many times before. They're like slightly worn footholds here and there. Are you gonna follow her?
Yeah. Add in a few extra little flips and show off a little bit. Stretch
Sure.
my legs.
Sure. Make an acrobatics check for me.
Plus 13.
So wait, if you roll under 5, you automatically roll a 10, right?
It's true. 23.
Okay. Yeah, so 23, you easily make it to the bottom with a couple extra flares of leg kicks along the way. At the base, Sumia sniffs the air and nods. She says, seems like you've been keeping up on your acrobatics, I see.
How did you see? Whatever.
It's a figure of speech. I can tell. Follow me. And she continues on into the woods. You follow, and after about half an hour of walking out into the woods, not in the direction of where you once found that portal to the Feywild, but in a different tangent, you come to a large clearing, and there you see probably a dozen or so large, like, canvas tents, sort of like a mobile village, but a lot more like put together. You see like animal hides and whatnot kind of putting it all together, but as you glance around, you begin to notice and recognize some of these people. This is the tribe, the individuals from the Kilafane Wilds that you had introduced to Sumia Silvertail. And as you approach the central teepee, some of them stop and stare and like nod in acknowledgement. They recognize you from before. Some with looks of confusion and awe in some of their faces. There's a lot of staring going on, I'll say. But you approach the central teepee, and Sumia ducks inside, and you follow. It's pretty dark in here, but there's a small fire at the center. And sitting next to it, you see the bundled up and small hunched form of Togma, leader of the tribe that you had talked into allowing you to access the Shrine of the Sloth, where you originally brought Awen's tablets many months ago. She gets up.
Greet her and get straight to the point. Hey, I heard you needed my help. We need to save these lycanthropes. Let's get started.
She smiles and says, very enthusiastic. I'm glad that you're so gung-ho for our shared interest here. Sit. I will explain all. Sumia, you as well. You all sit in a triangle around the small campfire, and Togma and Sumia begin to explain and fill in the details. They both explain to you, Porkchop, that they have individually been receiving visions from either Malar or Saloon independently. Visions of a sister tribe, if you will, far beyond this realm, lost to time and space, who are struggling. Their pleas for aid to their versions of Saloon and Malar have filtered their way through the gods to Sumia and Togma, and recognizing your role and the reuniting of their tribes, they have asked you to help them. They explain that,
and also my extreme power.
That too. They share that they believe that this sister tribe is located in the plain of Arborea, a very distant realm of dense jungles and wilds, where they have lived for a very long time. From what they can tell from the visions they've received from the gods, these people are in need of help and potentially escape. They seem to be struggling, and that's about it. How that's going to be accomplished and what they're struggling from, they don't know. They just know that something needs to be done.
I mean, struggling more than people on our planet struggle with existence? Like why is their struggling so much more than...
Like, not just struggling, but like, things used to be sustainable, and they're losing people by the dozen, and they could all die out soon if they're not helped. That was the general understanding. Like, dire need.
Jeez. Well, what do you guys think we should do?
They both are a little quiet. When Sumia speaks up, I think that we need to reach them somehow. Planar travel is difficult, especially for large groups of people. Bork.
That was so loud. Stop.
I think it's our best option to get someone on our side to them, to help them for now, and try and find a solution on the other side, while we continue to work towards that here.
Information gathering and portal opening.
Potentially, yes. Are you familiar with the sort of naturally occurring portals that tend to exist across the land?
Am I familiar with the portals? Like, tell them a little bit about my adventures closing multiple portals.
You share that information, and they both listen attentively, and they're like, so it would appear that you are far more informed than we could have possibly have hoped. This is excellent news.
Never really thought about opening them, though.
Well, sometimes it can be forced. Sometimes it just happens naturally. We both agree that we suspect, due to the similarity of the region here and the verdance, and they gesture to outside where all these massive oak trees lie, and the destination of Arborea, there's a strong likelihood that there is an alignment of the planes somewhere nearby. One that could be coerced into providing a temporary conduit between our and their planes. We've done some digging, and we've had people looking around, sniffing the air for strange smells and possible leads. We believe we've narrowed it down to a fairly small area where there could be a portal. We haven't found it yet, though.
So do you think the portal already exists, or that we would have to find the space where the planes are close to each other and then open it?
They both nod at the same time, and they say, we think that the portal already exists, and that it only opens under certain circumstances. Based on our prayers and our research, we believe that it opens under the light of the full moon only, either Onia or the other moon. And based on our calendar, they look down at a piece of paper with like lots of circles on it. The next full moon is tomorrow night. When this occurs, we believe that would be the best time to investigate and find this portal, hopefully.
Well, it seems like I have just impeccable timing then.
Truly, the divines look upon us with favor.
Can you guys contact your respective gods? And obviously this is something that they want done as well. I would like if there was some way to contact them from my perspective, as I'm not close to either of them.
Togma speaks up and says, that's just it. Both of them have shown some interest in you, Porkchop. From what we can tell, they have equal amounts of annoyance and respect for you as an individual.
It's like pretty much everyone else in this world.
I suspect that if the time is right and you reach out to them in need, they may be able to respond. I believe there are more formal ways of doing so, but they're listening, always.
Like, all right, look up at the sky. I hold you to that.
Well,
blackmailing the gods.
Sumia says, until then, tomorrow night, perhaps we should rest and I'll show you our maps, and we can begin to discuss how to find this portal.
Like, sounds good. Take a look at the maps, hang out with them a little bit, see if I can learn anything else about how, like, they said they don't know what kind of trouble these people are in. I guess I'm just curious, like, what changed, right? Like, there was a shift, and when did they start asking for help?
They share that this is very recent. Like, within the past week or two, they've been getting visions of the trouble that these individuals are struggling with. They never even knew that they existed before now.
And it's just very fast. There's dozens a day.
Mm-hmm.
And
so,
interesting.
Make a investigation check for the rest of the evening and afternoon as you work with them, like looking at maps, doing your best to like see where things could be.
19.
What'd you roll?
Minimum 10 plus 9, 19. 19.
Yeah. You narrow it down to 3 locations in the nearby forest where you suspect that a portal might form under the light of the full moon. And you spend the night there in this encampment. You're given a cot inside one of these small like side teepees. Again, many of the lycanthropes around here like look at you with a general like expression of like confusion and admiration. You sense that like word of what you did and who you are has spread since you left, and there's definitely some appreciation of Porkchop going on.
Porkchop very much thinks it is more appreciation than it is. Just like got a bit of a big head about the whole thing.
Definitely. So you get another long rest. The next day, you may make a insight check as you study the maps with their help to try and figure out where you're going.
-1 insight.
12. Yeah, you spend the day talking about it, trying to understand like what would be the most likely one, but you just don't know enough about the lunar, like the way the movement of the moons at night to really like pinpoint what you think is the best chance. But dusk comes.
I have one of them? Do they know what any of these people looks like?
They share.
Sorry.
They share from their visions that many of them resemble you, Porkchop. Furry, some slender, some broad, but different. Not any race that we recognize like those amongst us, and they point at the others.
Asking for the purposes of scrying. I want to know if I can get like a peek into what's going on over there.
They do their best to describe a few faces, but like it's so vague that for the purpose of scrying, it's like there's someone who lives in a city somewhere. You should scry them. Like it's not helpful, you know.
That's right. Okay. So sounds like we're gonna just have to poke around to all of these potential 3 locations on the night of the full moon and see if any of them are open.
They're within like a couple miles of each other. You have the whole night potentially to investigate.
No problem. Wait, are you guys gonna come with me?
We shall likely split. We'll each take a location and hopefully signal if we discover anything.
I mean, into the portal, should we find it?
Oh. We do not plan to. We think that perhaps you may be best suited to traverse such methods, given your experience and unique possible connection with these people. We will do our best to stay behind and prepare for your return, assuming all goes well.
Oh my god, I'm gonna get stuck on this plane, aren't I? Fuck. Alright. Sounds fine. A little bitter that they're sending me to do their dirty work. It's fine. Do it.
All right. Dusk comes. They split up. Which of the three are you going to? The one with no one, or the one with Sumia or Togma?
The one with no one.
All right. You go there. You wait and investigate. You look around in the midst of all these trees. It's nothing special about it that you can tell. The moon Onia begins to brightly shine overhead, basking you in its warm, cool light. And you look around. Make an investigation check.
And
You spend about half an hour looking around, climbing trees, digging, looking under root systems, trying to find something that resembles a portal. You don't find anything. You receive a message in your head from Sumia that says, "We haven't found anything in my location." Same with Togma. She hasn't found anything either.
I could climb a tree.
All right.
See if I see anything different from above.
Make a perception check.
Probably something good. 21.
21. You climb up and look over the vast canopy of oak spreading in every direction. You know the general direction of Togma and Sumia's spots. And the faintest sense of moonlight kind of streaming down from a gap in the clouds, and it seems to illuminate Togma's location a bit brighter than the rest of the surrounding forest. You feel a faint sort of prodding, a sign perhaps that it may be in this direction, what you seek.
I am going to activate my boots of haste, boots of speed, and just jump treetop to treetop like a little speedy chop.
All right.
Just
make another acrobatics check.
What was it?
Acrobatics check.
Balancing through the tree shots. 23.
Yeah, easy enough. You zip your way over there best you can, and after running for, I don't know how long that would take, a few minutes, you arrive at the location and climb down out of the tree. Togma jumps a bit, says, "Oh, didn't see you there. Yeah, help me look. I've been looking everywhere underneath all these trees, but I can't seem to find it. I feel like it should be near here, though. Seems right."
Well, I saw the moonlight streaming towards this location in particular, and if moonlight's supposed to hit the portal, then it's probably going to be high up, so I'm going to take another foray into the trees and see if the portal is on a tree branch. Something. It is Arborea. It's got to be in the trees, right?
Sure. Make a investigation check.
Investigation check for the treetops. It's 9, 22.
You climb up and zip around above Togma's head, looking for anything resembling a portal. After about 5 minutes, you come across a very tall oak that, in the fork between two of really thick branching limbs, a deep crevice goes into the heart of the tree. You kind of glance into it. All of a sudden, you feel a breeze rush past your face. A warm, humid breeze that totally doesn't fit with the rest of the current dry air around you.
Found it! Found the thing!
Togma scurries over and looks up and says, "Did you? Now what? Are you ready?"
I don't know. You tell me! Wait, how am I gonna get back?
You glance over and see that the moonlight is currently illuminating this particular spot, but the cloud cover is shifting. You see that this very small beam of moonlight is beginning to inch away from this crack in the tree.
I'm okay, sending me every hour until we know more. I don't know what time's on that plane. Got it?
I'll try. Good luck.
And then just jump into the portal.
You more have to crawl into it because it's so narrow.
That aggressively crawl into the portal.
You do. You crawl down to this crack in the tree, and as you go deeper and deeper, the air gets warmer and hotter and steamier. All of a sudden, you find yourself crawling out of a similar crevice about 200 feet in the air, and as you glance down, beneath you see a massive drop down to a green canopy that spreads to infinity in every direction. There are
How massive is this drop?
Imagine that you're at the top of like 200 feet down. You're at the top of like a gargantuan redwood tree, surrounded by like normal-sized trees in every direction. Maybe 15 feet down, there are massive branches that you could easily fall to and cling to.
Nice. How far can I see in either direction?
So you finish climbing out of this crack, and as you do, you glance around for a second, look back, you see the crack seal shut and become a seamless oak tree on the other side, or seamless bark on the other side.
Oh no. I'm done die here. This is it. Good run, Porkchop.
Make a perception check.
17.
You look around in every direction. It's an incredible view. It's a bit odd. Like, the sky is not really blue. It's more of like an off kind of purple. It's just strange. Like, there's a richness to the hue that's distinctly different than the sky you're used to. And you don't see any stars. The sun burns overhead, significantly larger in the sky than you remember. Quite hot out in the open on this exposed massive tree. But glancing around with that roll, you do see at the base of the tree, amidst the canopy, about maybe a mile or so away in a certain direction, a cluster of like small wooden structures protruding slightly from the top of the trees, seemingly out of place with like the natural kind of canvas.
A cluster of what? You cut out for a second.
They resemble buildings, small little structures like with huts, from what you can tell.
All right. I will cautiously approach the buildings from treetops. So kind of scurry my way down the big oak very carefully and then like hop along the tops of the canopies.
Make another acrobatics check.
+13, 27.
All right. Yeah, you climb down. It takes a little bit, but it's pretty easy for you with your claws and whatnot. And you run amidst the treetops all the way towards the village. Make a What's your passive perception?
It's 14, yeah.
14. Yeah. As you keep running and get closer and closer, all of a sudden, as you're like running to the end of a branch, you see 5 dark figures appear out of like nowhere around you. You hear a shouted word in a language you don't understand, and you stop and glance over. You see these 5 figures as they come out of the gloom, daubed in like mud and paint in various colors, all holding simple weapons, spears and clubs and whatnot, pointed at you menacingly. And they all resemble strange humanoid faces and shapes that you're unfamiliar with, but yet somehow familiar. Some look vaguely feline, some others vaguely ursine in their bear-like, hefty, meaty appendages. Some have like feathers sprouting off the sides of their face. They're all vaguely, definitely humanoid, but like vaguely animalistic, and it's odd because they're not were creatures. You know what they look like, but they're more like you in that sense. Definitely out of place.
Okay. I'm sure these are the people. Thinking to myself, I was trying to appear non-threatening, and I don't know if they speak common. It's another plane, but I will try. Be like, hey, you talked to Saloon and Malor. They sent me here to help.
Make a persuasion check with disadvantage.
Very good.
Yeah.
And my persuasion is +12.
So 28 with disadvantage. Are you kidding me? They look at each other and look back at you. One steps up, the large, more like beefy, kind of bear-like person, and they slam their spear onto the tree trunk limb that you're currently standing on. They grunt, lift their hand in the air and wave. You recognize the casting of the spell Tongues, which Galaxia can do.
That's so convenient.
As a complete, you hear them speaking in perfect common. Explain who you are. We hear you say, Saloon. What purpose and why do you speak the name?
Oh, well, that was rather convenient. Thank you. This would have been very difficult otherwise. I am a helper of Saloon. We have a complicated relationship. We're not going to get into that. I'm here to help you. You asked for help in something. You're struggling. You're suffering. You need to go to another plane. I'm not really sure. They just sent me here.
This large individual nods and says, "It is as foretold. Come, we will speak of this in my hut." And he mutters something in a language you don't really understand. Actually, you would understand it just because Tongues gives you magical understanding of whatever you say. He says to the others, "Bring her to the central hut. We will discuss what to do next. Do not harm her." They all grunt at each other and talk in this
Thank you for that.
They keep talking in this guttural tongue that you just don't recognize, but they all escort you as sort of an armed guard to the central of this very large treetop village. You see vine elevators that go down to the forest floor way below, and bridges between the treetops that connect all these buildings. He takes you to a large central hut and gestures you in. It's comfortable, made out of.
And they swing along some of the vines on the way there.
Sure, yeah. Now they definitely, it's part of the locomotion. They go from tree to tree with ease. Some have natural bridges, others just jump for it. But
nice.
Yeah, it's very much in your element. You are led into this massive tent, and make a perception check for me.
$14.
You notice immediately, on the far side of the tent, up on the wall, is a strange symbol that you've seen a few times before. You don't quite remember. Make a history check. Yeah. You think about it as you stare at this symbol. It's on a piece of tattered black fabric, kind of pinned up to the wall. You recognize the symbol as the symbol of the Velki Enclave, the ancient mage guild that you uncovered some of their research in Brooksburg many, many years ago.
Wait, can I point to it and be like, what is that? I know what it is, but I want to know what he thinks it is.
Yeah. The bear man, he turns and looks at it, and he looks back at you with a curious expression. He says, "It is the symbol of our elders, the ones who came before, who guided us and gave us instruction on how to make a life here amidst the trees."
Fuck.
Sit.
Exit?
He sits opposite you with his spear across his knees. Again, just very imposing form, vaguely furry, big, broad, muscly shoulders, and a rather elongated face. But the eyes are intelligent and bright, and he looks at you very directly. He says, "Our seers have predicted you would arrive. I am grateful for your coming. We are in need of your help. Messenger of Selunar."
Seems like you are. How can I be of service?
He says, "Our people are struggling. We have lost," thinks, "more than half of our number in the past month. A disease of horrid origins and virulence is now burning its way through our village, and we have not the means or the knowledge of how to treat it. Also, most of our hunting grounds have grown exhausted. What was once sustainable and reliable way to hunt and collect food for our people is now no longer sustainable. They are gone. The creatures of this wood, the ones that we have eaten for many years, they no longer come back. Instead, there are only predators and monsters that take their place. We are a dying people, and we are desperate for help. And so our God, has sent you to help us.
Oh God, it's a lot of pressure. All right. When did all of this start happening?
He says it started becoming difficult about 6 months ago, and has been increasingly worse. The first cases were thought to be abnormal, but we quickly understood it to be a disease, and not much that we could do to treat it. We lack the understanding of what makes it so.
Could I see someone who has this disease? Is it contagious?
He says, I do not know, but you're looking at one. And he raises up his arm and shows you. On his right forearm, like going from the mid forearm down to like the tricep, you see a blackened kind of patch of skin beneath the fur, where there's no fur at all. It's just kind of fallen off. As you look at the skin, and he like stoically holds it up to you, you watch the surface of it like slightly like convulse and like move on the surface very strangely. He shakes his arm and lowers it. He says, with time it spreads, covers the entire body, and the individual changes for the worst. We have taken those.
How?
They become feral, like the beasts on the ground, and will kill and eat anything in sight. We have
God's rabies.
We have been taking those who are near the end and leaving them far outside the city limits, so that they may find death amongst the natural order of things and not at our own hand. It is a slow-moving disease.
How long does it take?
I believe it takes at least 3 months to run its full course. I have maybe, he looks at his arm, a month left.
So it accelerates quite quickly then.
Yes, unfortunately. I would say most of the people in the village remaining have contracted some form of it. We have only a few months left before we're completely wiped out.
Everyone's contracted. Do you have any idea who or how the first person to get this disease got it?
He looks down, nods slowly, and says, he was a young one. He was willful and ignored our warnings. He went to the place of the elders and went there against our advice. During his exploration, I believe he discovered something forbidden, and it came back with him. And you see the result here today.
An object.
Not an object, but
what?
The disease itself. He described before it took him that he saw many strange things and wonders, and he may have touched something, or at least brought on the anger of the ancestors in doing so.
Oh, how interesting. Where is this place with the elders?
He says, it is a good distance away, a day's journey. The path is treacherous. There are many wild beasts along the way, and it is forbidden to go into the ruins. Our ancestors left that place long ago and told us to never return.
Did they say why?
Only that it was dangerous and pointless to ever go there. We have kept that truth ever since, and Very few ever go there. Those that do rarely ever return. And the one that did brought this with him. It must be true. Why should we ever go there?
Well, that's a reasonable conclusion. However, I happen to know a thing or two about the elders. And while a lot of what they do is very dangerous, some of it, all of it, is also very powerful. And powerful does not necessarily mean dangerous. I think going there might be the only way to solve the problems.
He seems very conflicted. He says, "You are the messenger of our gods. If you believe this to be the correct course of action, I will support it. But only you may go. It is forbidden for our people."
Of course. I'm going to thank him for his time. Ask if there's somewhere I can stay in the village.
He says, "Certainly, come with me." He takes you over to another treetop hut where again, there's like a small hammock in there. It's like expertly woven into the part of the tree where the canopy and the branches meet. And you do see that there is a small statue in here, apparently to some sort of deity. And you glance at it. It's like weirdly familiar, but also not. It resembles like an elf with very long tufted ears, almost like an animal, and like kind of elongated snout and like squinty eyes and like fur across its body, but like wearing some very rough armor and like holding a spear. It's just odd. It's you don't recognize it.
Ask him, who's that?
This is Selunar, our god that we worship. They provide for us, care for us, and keep us safe from the dangers of the forest below.
I'm like, oh, so it doesn't look like that.
Saloon?
This is the same person. Selunar, Saloon, the god that sent me. You know.
He looks at you and looks up at the statue and says, I am not one to question the messenger of the god. But if there's anything that you need, just ask of it and we shall provide. Otherwise, I will leave you here as we will discuss what to do in the next few days. We have many important things to tend to.
I'm like, you got any pork chops?
Any what?
Pork chops?
He thinks, he's like, I think I know what you mean. I will be right back. And he steps out. He comes back later with holding, like, under his arm 3 or 4 haunches of meat that have been cured and dried. He lays them down. He says, I believe the leg of a boar is similar to what it is you request.
Very close. Well done.
I hope this pleases the messenger. And he bows and goes out.
Oh, Porkchop has such a big head. Oh my god. They're treating her like royalty. Yeah. I would like to, in my downtime, he cast tongues on himself, didn't he?
Yeah.
So what I wanted to do is try. I still have all of the journals from all of the Velki Enclave.
You do, yeah.
Individuals. And they were mostly about the portal openings, but I would like to spend like a few hours trying to read through them and see if they ever mentioned this place or a disease or anything that seems like it might relate.
Sure. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Be right back.
Some tea too.
All right. Make a investigation check with advantage.
Nice. 26.
Nice. You spend the better part of a couple hours reading through all the journals that have been translated by Galaxia and you from a long time ago, refreshing your memory. You do not find any mention of Arborea or anything relating to what you're seeing going on here. You do read a lot about the portals, and you hear about mentions of expeditions. You know that the group that went to Brooksburg was an expedition to try and lock onto and establish a more permanent portal to the abyss in that location, and that kind of all went south, and you know the history of that. But that's about it. You know that they weren't necessarily the only group that went out doing something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, there's a few things. Really, I want to go try to find if they have any writings from their elders, apart from that symbol or the ruins. If they have any scripture or religious stuff.
Yeah. So you when the
I'll probably go ask the leader guy if that's a thing.
Next time he pops his head in to check on you, you ask him that. He says, yes, we have a few relics. And he takes you into the next area. He back to his tent, and he shows you this tattered, piece of fabric. From what you can see, it looks to be like it was ripped off of or was once part of one of the cloaks the Vilki Enclave likely wore. You saw, remnants of similar garments on the remains of some of the mages that you found in Brooksburg. He also shows you a small crystal orb, which you immediately recognize as being something used for scrying. You already have a much better version of that. And this is just a generic orb, but that they have put up on a pedestal and kept clean. And a strange sort of wand that he says is very important to their history, and he holds it up aloft. You see, it's a long, thin metal kind of rod, and it's engraved all along the length of it in small little patterns. Porkchop wouldn't know what this is, but basically circuits all across the surface of it in deep engraved circuit patterns. But it's just functionally, from what you can tell from your knowledge of magic, likely just a wand or a focus, a magical focus. None of these things have any inherent value outside of the sentimental value they hold for these people.
I'm trying to remember exactly what Identify does. I know they're not magical, but I'm wondering if Identify can tell me anything else about them.
I don't think it would. It would just tell you what it is. And from your intuition, you could do it to see if they actually are magical or not, because you can't really tell. But it doesn't seem likely.
I mean, sure. I'll ask him if I can have them for a few minutes and cast Identify on each of them, just in case.
Yeah, you take 20 minutes to identify both. Yes, they are inert. They are magical in that they are used with magic, but they aren't inherently special in any way.
Okay. I find that incredibly helpful for the mystery. I asked him if there's anything that they've left, that the elders left them in terms of rules for how to live their lives or pieces of advice.
Yeah. He says there is only 2 rules left by the elders. 1, never go to the Forbidden Ruins. 2, be kind and work hard so that we all might prosper. It's a simple rule, but one we follow the best we can, and it has done well by us thus far. We lived here for many, many generations, And only now, in the face of something so terrible, have we been unable to cope.
Do you think that the disease is related to the wildlife disappearing? If they start happening at the same time.
He slowly nods and he says, there are a few who have shared stories of creatures, not unlike what happens to us once it progresses too far. Creatures that are similarly affected, that may have been corrupted in such a way as to go rabid and wild. We believe that some of these creatures may be roaming nearby and could be the cause of the local wildlife depletion.
Interesting. Very well. I think I will rest here for the night, and in the morning, perhaps you can show me these elder ruins.
He says, I cannot show you the ruins. It is forbidden. But I can show you the path.
I will do.
Good
That'll
night.
do, pig. That'll do.
What is your name?
My name is Porkchop.
Excellent. I am pleased to meet you, Messenger Porkchop. I am Crag.
Crag.
Yes.
Nod to him.
You take a long rest?
Try to think if there's anything else I need to do tonight to prepare.
What are you attuning to?
So, that's what I was going to say. I don't think I'm going to need the harness right now. I think I want the speed, the invisibility, and the rod. The magic rod.
All right.
There we go. And do I need to prepare anything for this venture where I will most certainly have to run away and or kill things? Ah, good. Go to sleep. Do this thing.
All right. Long rest. You sleep pretty well. You wake up a few times and you're momentarily confused, where are you, what's going on, but then you remember what's happening, and you power through. You wake up the next morning. It's very odd. It seems like a really short night, maybe only 4 to 5 hours, and it seems like it's mostly daytime here. But you wake up the next morning and you are greeted by the sight of a small child-like creature looking past the flap, staring at you with large, luminous eyes. You glance over at them, they duck back behind and immediately run away, seemingly intimidated by your presence here.
I'm gonna run after him.
You jump up out of bed and sprint out after them. You easily catch them within a few seconds as they've only gone 15 feet around the corner. They yelp as you catch up to them.
I grab them by the collar and be like, why'd you run away?
They're like, I don't know, I was scared. You see that they are, they look very similar to yourself, actually, but a memory of what you once looked like when you were, 8 years old. Big eyes, fluffy, kind of poofy, pointed ears, and overall very adorable, but yes, you sense a lot of kinship here that's not normal.
I'm like, well, why'd you come in the first place then?
I don't know. You look like me, and that's kind of cool, so...
Well, don't run away next time. Put them on the ground.
Okay. They just stand there, motionless.
Hey, what do you know about the, okay, well, I won't jump straight into it. I'll get there. So, what's your name?
Oh, my name's, Chul.
Chula?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. My name is Porkchop. what do you do around here? What are your responsibilities? What are your chores?
Oh, I could show you.
All right, follow her.
She grabs your hand and takes you around camp. Her responsibilities include basically mashing up this like rough meal of like grains, like odd, strange, like fruit and grains. You don't recognize any of them, but her job is to mash them up and put them into small clay jars to be distributed to a bunch of older individuals, all shifters like yourself, and they take turns like spreading it out into thin tortillas, if you will. It seems like it's part of the morning ritual of like breakfast preparation. As you're like watching and following around, learning what they do, Crag approaches and says, "Ah, you've arisen, messenger. It is your task to go to the ruins today. Is this what you choose for yourself?"
I say, yes, but I'd like a few more minutes here, please. Don't mind.
Certainly. Take your time. And he walks off and just observes from a distance.
I make sure to comment on Shula's like, wow, you're doing such a good job here. You have so much important responsibility. Like, you're doing so great.
She warms up to you very quickly and is very happy and proud to show off the rest of the village and everything that she has learned. She keeps spouting off words. And after a while, you realize, like, wait, how can I understand her? And you realize that at a distance, Crag has been following and seems to have intervened on your behalf and give tongues to Chula so she could be understood.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yes. But yeah, there's nothing in particular that you learn that is of great import. You just get the feel for like the villagers' normal life here. As you're going and like you see like the normal routine, you also sense that there's a lot of like foreboding in the older individuals. They have a lot of like, they look tired. They look apprehensive. They look at you with like confusion and respect, but there's a lot of wariness in their eyes. You do see on some of them much more progressed versions of the disease than was on Crag. Some have like entire legs that are blackened with like hairless, with strange like taut skin and kind of clawed feet. It's very strange. It seems to be overtaking parts of them.
When I get a chance and we're away from a lot of prying ears, I'd like to try to get down onto my knee and like get close to Shula and be like, so I'm heading out to the ruins today. Have you ever been outside the village?
She goes, "That's forbidden."
Like, yeah, I know, but I'm special.
Wow. Do you
Have you ever been outside the village?
No.
Sure.
Well, she looks around and she's like, once I walked out on this tree branch over there, and she points. You can see like there's one tree branch that juts a little bit farther outside the village than like the rest of it. And she says, "It's a really good view, but don't tell anyone."
Like, oh, you're such a rebel.
I know.
All right, never mind. Nice try. All right, I will call it with her, say bye, and go find Crag.
Right. Crag has been following at a distance. You walk up to him and he nods and says, "Are you prepared?"
I am. Let's go.
"Let us go. Follow." And he takes you to one of these large elevator type things dangling from a platform. He nods to a thick, stout shifter, and they begin lowering the both of you down to the floor far below. As you step out, it's fairly damp. It's clear that it rains here fairly often. And it begins raining, in fact, as you walk along this path that's been kind of beaten and cleared out. You walk for 10 minutes, and he says, "This road will take you too close to your destination. Where the road ends, you must continue into the woods, heading straight towards, along the line of where the road ends. There, at the far end of it, you should find a large hill of sorts. At its base, the ruins. Do you have any questions?
Can I have a way to contact you? Should I find anything of import that needs to come back? Information that needs to get to you immediately?
He says, I do not know of what you are suggesting. If you come back, you can share that information.
Like, does anyone in your village use magic?
He says, limited magic. I have this particular skill. It's part of the rituals passed down by the elders. The village chieftain must learn them as part of his trade and responsibility.
What skill is that?
Basically, he knows like 3 spells, just from like he just has to as the village chieftain. Tongues is one of them.
All right, never mind. Looks like I'm in this on my own. Great, no problem. Thanks for your help, I guess.
You are welcome. And he continues walking with you to the end of the road where he says, Messenger, Porkchop, the ruins lie beyond. We are counting on you for your aid. Good luck. Be safe.
I give a deep sigh and like you and the rest of the world. Okay.
All right. Do you head into the brush?
I head out.
All right. You begin.
I'd actually like to walk slightly off the path, like with it in sight, but like in the forest rather than.
Right. Yeah. You do that. Crag stops and watches you go, and then as you go out of sight, you sense he probably turned around and went back. As you walk along through this massive jungle, dense and moist, you just kind of take it in, listening to the bird song and the sound of life all around you. Make a perception check for me.
14.
As you're walking along, minding your own business, keep an eye out for anything. You hear a sudden crack in the underbrush nearby. You glance over, and you see crawling out of the weeds nearby a panther-like head, long, sleek, black, with glowing yellow eyes, and it snarls at you and sniffs the air. As it steps out, you see not 4 but 6 muscular legs attached to its body, and a writhing, hooked tentacles over its back. You recognize.
Oh, that's a displacer beast.
It is a displacer beast.
I don't remember how hard it was to kill, though.
It is now about, I'll say, 40 feet from you, and it seems to be, like, studying you, like, tensing.
Do I know anything about them? Like, are they intelligent creatures?
You don't know.
Or are they, like,
them.
actually feral?
It snarls in the
Okay.
air, and you sense the presence of 2 more nearby emerging from the undergrowth.
Yeah, okay, I'm not going to take on 3 at once. I would like to hold my breath, climb a tree, and then just, like, hop along the canopy and just, like, peace out.
Okay. So you hold your breath, run for the nearest tree to climb it invisibly. As soon as you go invisible, you see them all, like, stop and look around confused and being sniffing the air. And,
Of course.
let's see, we're going to do 3 perception checks. With advantage, because they have advantage on smell checks.
Smell stuff.
Highest roll is a 22. Yeah. So as you run for the tree, make an acrobatics check to climb the tree.
As I'm doing this as well, I would like to cast Minor Illusion with a nice meaty smell of, like, taking inspiration from my dinner over, like, in the other direction.
All right. Make a deception check on top of that acrobatics check.
The acrobatics check is 23. The deception check is 22.
Right. So as you climb up this tree. You throw away the smell of something meaty nearby, and as the panthers begin converging at the base of your tree, sniffing and looking up in your direction, they all suddenly turn and turn their heads like they're distracted by the smell of something better. They bolt away as you climb up into the treetops and begin running along the path out of sight. Seems like you've successfully avoided these particular individuals.
I would have taken on one of them for its health, but not 3.
All right. So you continue on, going a little slower, invisibly for a while, before eventually dropping it because it seems like you're out of danger. After another half hour of traveling via treetop, eventually you come out and you see a small clearing. Ahead of you is a massive hill, not a mountain, but a very large hill, and protruding from the side of it, a large kind of rocky outcropping with a gaping hole on the base of it, a cave of sorts going into the side of this hill. Make a Arcana check for me. Yep, looks like a bunch of rocks.
Looks like a hill. How large is the hill? Is there a backside to it that I can easily reach?
Say what?
Oh, is there can I also see around the hill? Is it a small hill? It's a big hill?
It's a pretty big hill. You can't see around the hill. You just see that it kind of jets up. The top of it is mostly clear. There's not many trees on top. Just kind of surround it. And then there's just this cave entrance at the bottom.
All right. I would like to, considering this is a Velki Enclave hideout, and I know what they did to us last time, I'm gonna cast Mage Hand, get a little bit closer, and just investigate around the side of the openings, see if I can feel any glyphs or things that are going to explode when I walk in.
Investigate.
I like their glyphs, man. 19.
Yeah, you feel around the entrance. It seems fine. You don't see any hidden glyphs or magical things blocking the entrance at all.
All right. That being said, I'm going to approach the front of the entrance. And instead of walking through like a normal person, I'm gonna jump, tuck, and roll through the entrance.
All right, you dive through the entrance, rolling and on the edge, looking for anything that could go wrong. Nothing happens.
Literally nothing happens. Great.
You now stand inside a long tunnel, kind of slightly downward, and it's covered in moss and overgrowth of jungle-like things. Make a perception check for me.
In Velki Enclave and their moss-covered tunnels and these creepy, dank caverns. 21.
21.
Always with the tunnels of moss.
Yeah, 21. You see now, as you walk down this tunnel looking for stuff all around you, beneath the moss, there's a strange kind of surface. Not really stone. You kind of pull off a piece of moss and look at it. This tunnel is made out of metal. And it's a textured, finished kind of metal sheet. And it makes all the walls here as it goes down continuously deeper.
Oh, I just thought of a spell I want to invent.
What'd you say?
I just thought of a spell I want to invent that involves magnets.
Okay.
Sorry.
But as you go down,
in my own head,
you see ahead of you a small chamber, dimly lit actually, with a strange kind of flickering light. It seems to go in and out, not unlike firelight, but definitely a different hue than a campfire.
Okay. I will cautiously make my way up to the mouth to try to see the rest of the room.
All right. As you go up to this central chamber, there's just kind of a small room with 3 exits in the entrance in front of you. Again, filled with like moss and overgrowth, but there are like small little spots on the wall that are emitting a dim whitish blue light, and it kind of flickers intermittently, going dim and then kind of flickering again. It seems magical in nature, but you're not entirely sure how.
From a light. Cool. Well, I guess I'll go a little bit further. I am curious about the light, so I'll go up and investigate it.
Alright, roll for that. Don't roll an Arcana check for me.
Alright, 15.
You go to the light and clear it off and look at it. It seems to be like a clear kind of rectangle that just emits light from within. Embedded in the wall, this metal wall. You don't know how it works. You suspect some kind of enchantment, perhaps. But it seems to be very old and possibly overburdened. It flickers badly and goes dim most of the time.
Cool, I'm in the right place. I just delve deeper down the right tunnel.
Alright.
This whole time as I'm delving, I also want to be sending my mage hand out in front of me and just like letting it try to trigger glyphs, even though I know it's not super effective.
Sure. It continues on, like feeling ahead of you. Make a investigation check again for that. All right. Which way are you going? Left or right?
I'll go right.
All right. As you continue along, what's the range on Mage Hand?
I think it's 30 feet.
Okay. Yeah, so...
30 feet.
As you're back there and your hand is feeling down around the tunnel, you feel like through the hand something click on the wall, and then all of a sudden this wave of fire rushes up the tunnel towards you and stops about 5 feet from your face. Your mage hand was incinerated, I'll say, but you can recast it easily.
Sure. I'm like, okay. I will just cast it and see if it's a trap that re-triggers.
You check again. It seems gone, whatever it was.
Great. Need to keep going. Doing the same thing.
Yeah, you keep feeling along the walls, looking for anything of import. You don't find anything. You keep looking. It's strange. These tunnels like wind and double back on themselves, but they definitely seem like structured. Some are. There's less and less vegetation and growth the deeper in you go, and more just like raw metal and hard panels. As you come around the corner and look up ahead, you see a rather like foggy tunnel. A vaguely green mist kind of fills the end of the tunnel, and you can't see too far into it.
Interesting. I'm gonna go swipe at it with my mage hand.
Mage hand just like passes through it. Doesn't seem to do anything.
I'm gonna firebolt it.
You firebolt into the mist and it goes shoo, and just disappears before hitting something at the far end.
Interesting. Does it seem poisonous?
Make a
green.
nature check.
Usually green things are poisonous. 14.
You have no idea.
Okay. I'm gonna go up and like take something that's in my bag. What do I have? Just like stick it in there and see what happens to it.
Alright. So Porkchop,
I'll throw some ball bearings.
Okay.
I'll ping some ball bearings into
You throw your ball bearings in, they
Okay.
clatter down the hall, rolling, and doesn't seem to do anything.
Alright, fine, I'll get closer. God damn it. Take a very tentative breath of it and then run away. Back away again.
Just a little waft.
Oh, wow.
You take a waft. It smells very acrid and caustic. You immediately feel a small like wave of nausea, and you step back and like, oh boy. You're fine,
Not nice.
but it's not something you'd want to breathe. That's for sure.
I wish I had some like ventilation type thing Okay, I got it. Can I fashion a like fan out of stuff that I have in my bag, like a cloak of some sort? I'll take my cloak and just like.
Okay, make a performance check, I'll say, to reliably wave your cloak in a way that would possibly disperse the fog.
20.
Yeah. With that, and your very excitable waving of the cloak, you manage to clear out most of the fog. As you get closer, it seems like the fog's clearing. It's still present, but it may be like lessened enough that you could actually progress. You're not entirely sure.
Right. Okay. Doing my best to continue. I'm like looking at my spells, hoping that like somehow. Ooh. Is this a thing? Can I use prestidigitation to create like a very small like air bubble around my face?
I will
bubble,
say that
but like like breathe.
It would work around your face.
Yeah, like just around my like.
Sure. So
nostrils.
you prestidigitate clean air just around your mouth and nose. You keep
make my
waving
way fairly quickly.
You keep waving the cloak.
If it's useful, if it's functional.
It definitely seems to like move some of the fog out of the way. Not all of it, most of it. Are you stepping into it then?
I'll step into it.
Alright, you step into it and tentatively walk down the tunnel further. At the far end you find a door. As you keep waving away the fog, you see there's like a large sculpture of sorts, kind of like a dragon's head made out of steel, that this mist is like pouring out of. The door in front of you is locked. You try the handle. It's metal.
I'll try to pick it.
All right.
Stop waving the cloak.
You stop waving the cloak and try to pick it. Make a sleight of hand check to lockpick the door. That one.
No!
You fiddle with it for a second, and then the mist begins to wave around you again. You feel your skin begin to burn. You take 8 acid damage as it begins to burn through your fur and skin. What do you do?
5, 6, 7, 8. So how? I'm trying to figure out how far away the door is from the acid. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. About a distance from Mage Hand. I'm gonna back out of the acid and try to pick it with Mage Hand.
All right,
in like a more calm manner.
You run away back out of the acid. Go ahead and make a sleight of hand check with Mage Hand.
That is it. It's plus 18. 31.
Yeah. Easy enough. The door swings open, emanating a slight light. The same flickering, like white-blue light from the next room.
Great. I'll do the same thing. Try to clear my air and just real quick dash into the door.
All right. You dash around the corner. Ahead of you, you see a chest made out of strange metals, closed, but sitting there, like a storage room, perhaps.
Can I tell if it's a mimic without opening the chest?
Make a perception check.
Is there any way? One.
Seems like a chest.
Alright, I'll pick it with Mage Hand. Try to keep my distance in case there's an explosion. Actually, I didn't even ask if it was locked.
It's not locked. You lift it open. Inside, you see a folded set of clothes, like robes, more of these like the same emblem of the Velki Enclave emblazoned on them. And on the far right side, a couple of glass bottles, corked and held in reserve.
Okay. I will take the time to identify all of those things.
All right. The mist is pouring into the room.
I will grab them and identify them outside.
All right. So you run back out. Make a performance check to wave away the remaining mist.
Advantage on performance. Or not advantage. I have
Reliable talent. Yeah. You managed to get out. Oh, whoops. You managed to get out without taking too much damage, but you do take half damage on that last one. So you take 5 additional acid damage as you run out of the haze and take a moment to identify what these things are. There are 3 potions. That's not the one. A potion of acid resistance, a potion
Very
of
appropriate.
necrotic resistance,
Hope that's not appropriate.
and a potion of arcana, which is not a standard thing. It gives you +2 to attack and damage rolls for casting for magic for 1 minute.
Advantage on attack and damage. Okay.
+2. So, like, if you cast
Casting.
firebolts, you get add 2 to your fireball to range attack.
Oh, that's neat. Are the robes anything that they're just like a set of Valkyrie robes?
They just seem to be like uniforms, maybe. They're intact, preserved, but otherwise meaningless.
I'm gonna put them on.
Okay. You don one of them. They're kind of fluttery and heavy, but comfortable. Finely made.
Like if there's anything alive in this cavern, I can pass myself off as
Potentially, yes. So, you return back the way you came. Being stealthy and avoiding triggering any other traps. You don't find any others. You get back to this intersection. Where now?
I'll go up.
Okay. You go up. There's a door. Seems to be locked.
I will try to pick it with Mage Hand from a distance.
Go for it. What is it?
36.
36. Yeah, no, the door swings open without problems. Beyond, you see rushing water as a small, like, underground river seems to be flowing through this room. It goes deeper into the space beyond. Like, there is an open kind of sluice gate that could potentially, like, gate it, prevent it from flowing through, but it moves on into the next area beyond.
Feels like one of those Zelda temples where I'm gonna have to close the gate and let the water fill up with water. The room fill up with water in order to reach like a higher point in the temple. I would like to investigate that little dragon's head that's shooting water out.
Sure. Investigate
Decoration,
check.
or is that something interesting? Empty.
You investigate. It seems to be exactly that. A dragon's head sculpted to be a faucet to create water. Purely decorative, it seems. On your
Is there a
left...
reason why everything in this cavern is a dragon?
On the left side, you see that there is a kind of like wire screen that shows you a viewing platform in the center, and then a room that seems to be mirroring the one you're in right now on the other side.
How deep is the water?
About 5 feet. It's like kind of algae rich, but kind of gross, but it's fine.
Okay. I will take a quick little swim then through these gates.
All right. You swim up and around the corner, keeping an eye out. What are you? Are you still doing your mage hand?
Yeah. Always.
Investigate for mage hand.
Investigating for mage hand.
Yeah, you don't find anything. Nothing physical. As you swim around the corner
Swim.
and go beyond, a sudden arcane sigil above you on the ceiling flashes briefly, and a bolt of lightning arcs down from the ceiling into the water all around you. Make a con saving throw.
I can't dodge that. Con saving throw 16.
That saves. You take half damage. You take 10 lightning damage as it arcs through the lightning. You're momentarily electrocuted. You're like, ah, ow. You see the sigil dim, but begins to slowly start glowing again.
Okay, I would like to get out from under it very quickly.
All right, are you moving on or pushing through?
Yeah, I'll move on. Keep going.
Okay, you keep pushing through, swimming past quickly, into the next room, step out of the water in case it goes off again. You see...
Digitate myself dry.
Yep, easy enough. At the far end, you see another chest, kind of raised up above the water that seems to be coming in from like a slight crack in the ceiling. It's kind of trickling down like a waterfall and cascading right behind this chest.
Huh. Cool. I have no reason to not try to open it with my mage hand.
You go over and lift the lid open. No problem.
Anything inside?
You rummage around.
Pull around with the mage hand?
Yeah, you pull out a few small items. What appears to be a... Yeah, 1 second. Reference my notes. It appears to be a small, like, cube covered in more of these circuitry patterns, and a leather box, a leather pouch, and a tiny lizard-like creature encased in amber.
Oh, is it like the other thing I found in amber?
What other thing did you find in amber?
We found at the gelatinous cube Belky Enclave guy's house where we fought that weird wraith that kept like repeating things. And then in the corner there was some like weird creature. It was like a bug encased in amber, I think.
It was in a jar. It was alive and like inside of a glass jar.
Okay. Yes. Super creepy, but like on par for Belky Enclave.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's safe here. I'll identify those objects as well.
You do so. The little lizard in amber is actually a diminutized and like permanently stored giant crocodile, and it is basically magically contained inside this chunk of amber. If you were to dispel magic on the chunk of amber, it would release it, releasing a living and potentially normal, angry giant crocodile into the space where it was before.
Nice.
There's also the cube is magical, and it appears to have some connection with this space. You don't really know what. And as you hold it, by identifying it, you understand that you can activate it by twisting it in certain ways. You do so, and it begins to pulse from within with the same dim blue light that the rest of the walls seem to have. You immediately see a blinking light appear beneath the water and blink its way towards the far end of this wall where the waterfall is. Like kind of like a beep 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 like pattern kind of going away from you towards it.
Interesting. Okay. Last thing, the leather pouch.
Leather pouch, you open it. It's just filled with like spell components, nothing in particular.
Seems like I'm probably supposed to go follow the blinking light behind the waterfall, but there's this whole other cavern that I haven't explored yet that I kind of want to. So I'm going to take a quick little detour and go back. Trying to avoid, though, the electric little buddy. Can I go around the other way?
You can. Yeah, so going on the left route, you manage to avoid triggering that. As you climb over this like pile of partially caved in rubble, it seems like whatever, there might have been a rune here as well, but it's long since like crumbled and fallen apart. So you continue on, going down and around. You come to this other room, and it is identical to the other one. It seems more like architectural in nature than anything else. A door stands locked at the bottom of the room.
Get that lock real quick.
Easy enough.
20-something, 30-something.
You unlock it with ease and continue on down. Coming to a side room and this other tunnel that goes on down the hall.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow that other tunnel down the hall, again, investigating. Ahead of me. That's my ability.
Make an investigation check for me.
19?
What'd you roll?
19.
Yeah, you find nothing. You come to the end of this hallway, it's a dead end.
That's really weird. Why would that be a dead end in the middle of this dungeon? I like that. Can I like look up and down? Make sure that I'm not missing something really obvious?
Make a insight check.
Like, 7.
You can't seem to find anything.
I will cast Dragon's Brain.
Alright. As you cast Dragon's Brain and your eyes glow golden, you glance around for any semblance of wealth. You sense through the wall back here down the tunnel something beyond it on this other side.
There's no way to get there right now. To the door?
Make an investigation check over here where you sense it. What?
24?
20 good. You find a very, very faint outline of a hidden door on the this wall, seemingly going into another space beyond to the left.
Nice. Is it something, can I just push it open?
No, it's like sealed.
Not locked, sealed.
Yeah, there's no like door handle or anything. It's just like the outline of what would be a door, perhaps. But to open it...
Big door.
What?
I guess, can I try to like run my knife like along the edge of it and see if there's like a weak point that I can like trigger?
Yeah, make an intelligence check. Try and like figure out the inner workings of this door.
Just a straight check?
Yeah.
13.
Nah.
Nah. I can't see through it if I peek really hard.
Nope.
I want in, man. I want in. Hey, I remember I had this before. If I close my eyes and run into the door.
You close your eyes and run face first in the door. You take 4
run into
4 bludgeoning damage.
Oh my god, you like leave the fucking door alone. I don't want to. I want to go through the door.
I'm punishing you for bashing your head against this door, literally and figuratively.
Okay, fine. I'll come back to it later.
Okay.
Alright. Going back up through the door that didn't blow me up, I will return to where the cube was sparkling.
Yep. Easy enough. Yes, it sparkles, like, it seems to pulse in rhythm with the dotted lights underneath the water, and they go up to the waterfall.
Is there anything behind the waterfall if you lose my mage hand?
Your mage hand goes through the waterfall. There seems to be space behind it.
Right, I will snuggle myself into that space.
You do so. Behind is a longer tunnel. This one goes deeper, winding down, and it seems to be more natural. Not made of metal, but of stone, and like smoothly carved out, almost like smoothed in an unnatural way. Like it was carved out, but like with some kind of magic or something to make a really smooth, sort of cylindrical tunnel that goes deeper into the earth.
Cool.
Do you
I
follow
will follow the tunnel. cautiously.
You follow it down. Along the floor, this dim blue light blinking proceeds on down ahead of you as you walk with the cube.
Very convenient. I have a little guardian.
After about a minute of walking, it levels out and you see ahead of you a dim greenish blue glow. As you come around the corner, you see a large cavern filled with multicolored glowing crystals.
This is a cool map.
What do you do?
Glowing crystals look at all like the life stones from Homeopolis and Area.
Make an Arcana check.
I talk about how I never roll over 10.
Right.
12.
Yeah, you don't know. They're both crystals that glow, but beyond that, you don't notice any obvious similarities.
Okay, I guess I'll take a few steps forward and try to poke around this guy and get a better view of the cavern. I climb on top of that one, actually.
You clamber up on top and get a better view. It's mainly just a very dense and scattered room. What you can see on the map is all you can see. These crystals go from the ceiling down, bottom up. It's a very, those big quartz caverns in other parts of the world. That's kind of what this is.
Does it look like they were being mined?
The ones immediately around you can't really tell.
Okay. I will make my way through the room, sticking kind of to the edge here, and particularly wary of the ones on the ceiling. Remember last time.
Always. All right, make a stealth check to start.
Who am I hiding from?
You said carefully, right?
Yeah, no, I'm just suspicious.
You tiptoe along, looking around for anything in particular. Make an investigation check. Yeah, you just keep wandering through the crystals, looking for anything of interest. You don't see or hear anything that stands out to you. You just are kind of marveling at all of these beautiful things all around.
I'm curious. So the ground is just dirt, right?
Yeah, it seems to be gravel and fairly flat.
I'd like to use a few iterations of mold earth and see how deep the crystals go. Just out of curiosity.
Sure, you start cleaning up around the bottom. They do seem to be pretty natural and part of the ground. You clear out the gravel and they're just embedded in the rock. You don't know how deep they go. As you're doing that, it's kind of digging at the bottom, the base of it. You suddenly hear a kind of rasping noise. And you turn to look over your shoulder, and you see this gargantuan, cobra-like shape slithering towards you at a rapid pace. I need you to roll initiative.
Okay. You're rolling so absolutely terrible. I guess not.
They rolled worse than you. So, as you're digging at the base of this crystal, you see this cobra creature. It has almost a weirdly humanoid face, despite its cobra-like body. Its eyes are locked on you and it's hissing, tongue flickering in and out, charging you.
Jesus Christ. Okay. I am going to whip out my wand of magic missiles and take aim at its eyes.
Alright.
And fire off 5 darts. I guess 4 darts, 2 at each eye.
Okay. Roll damage.
I always forget. So 4 darts, I said 3
5
6
darts or 4
darts.
darts?
6, 4 darts.
4 darts. So that's a second level.
First one does 3, and then it's 1 additional.
Yeah. So 4.
So 5 darts. So 4 spells, 5 darts.
Yes.
Right? 5d4.
Sorry, no. So
5.
it's 3, and then 1 more for every level above that.
Okay. So it's 6. That's right.
Yeah. 5th level, or 4th level is 6 darts. Right. 19 force damage. You blast this thing, aiming for the eyes. As it comes shooting up at it, though, the eyes squint shut, and it peppers like the face, but doesn't seem to actually hurt the eyes at all. It hisses angrily. Is that your turn?
No. The rest of my turn is going to be spent, like, being as far away from it as possible.
What's your movement speed?
I have, like, what? 40 feet? Oh yeah, I'll run back from it rather than running towards it.
Okay. So I'll say if you're running away
5
from
action.
it, you could probably get about to here.
That sounds good.
So you dart away best you can.
And as a bonus action, I'll shift.
All right. On its turn, it's going to slither forward, chasing you. It gets to here, its eyes flare, and you see it. A beam of sickly green light flashes out of its face towards you.
Christ.
It's casting a spell on you. You need to make.
Ooh, absorb it.
You absorb it? It is a 4th level spell. So.
Let me keep track of that.
So yeah, update that with 4.
So I have 13 charges in it. I'm going to put 17 charges in it, and I have 19 used, 23. Cool.
As you like wave the rod at the last second, it just sucks it into the rod, disappears. It hisses angrily, rearing back in surprise. Your turn.
Your turn. Great. I still have my mage hand out. So I'll use my mage hand to distract it, and then run up and try to stab it real quick.
All right.
Running away.
Go for it. So you charge up.
20. My God, I can't roll for shit. 15.
15 hits. That's its AC.
Great. Attack dice.
39.
Well, I had advantage because that's actually what the mage hand gives me.
That's right.
That's nice. Okay, good.
Yeah, so you stab into it, dealing 39 damage, and it rears back, hissing angrily.
And then I'll proceed to run away and hide behind the largest crystal I can find.
Attack of opportunity! Oh wait, no, it can't.
Oh wait, I can't.
So you run away. So that was 25 to get there, and then you have what? How much left?
So I have 50 now because I shifted.
So 25 more.
So 25 more.
You can get to like here then.
Oh, and I still have a bonus action. So I'm gonna activate my Boots of Speed, actually, and double my movement speed. So I have 100 movement now.
To distract with Mage Hand, isn't that a bonus action?
Oh, fuck, you're right. Yeah. Okay, never mind.
Gotcha. Yeah, so its turn. It's going to slither up to you, and you see its eyes glow a purple as it glares down at you angrily, casting another spell on you.
Casting another spell, I will in fact absorb it.
Alright, you wave it's a 5th level spell this time. You absorb it.
Oh my god, I'm scared! I don't want to take this spell! Ah.
It hisses angrily and bites down at you, trying to just deal with you differently. That is a 22 to hit.
Oh yeah, that hits.
You take Oh, whoops. That's not right. Make a con save. You save.
Thank
So
Jesus.
you take, let's see, 5 halves, 17, 19 total damage. As it bites into your shoulder, you feel poison leaking out of its fangs, but you only take half damage for the poison. So, 19 total. Your turn.
19 total. Trying to figure out if I can do anything useful with my spells. Can't really. I'm just gonna keep stabbing it, so I'm gonna just use bonus action to distract, give myself some advantage, try to stab it again. Oh, absolutely awfully. Oh, hey, so close. Sneak attack that motherfucker.
With
40
that,
damage.
You stab up through the bottom of the jaw, straight up through the roof of the skull, and it thrashes around before going limp. Defeated.
Ha! Sucker! Thought you could cast spells on me. I want to try to skin it.
Sure. So, it's pretty big. It's a massive snake skin. It's like blue and red scales. Make a nature check to properly remove it of its skin.
17.
13?
17.
17. Yeah. So it takes you like half an hour, but you slowly and methodically, with your razor-sharp dagger, cut away the majority of its skin and roll it up. You'll need to treat it and like cure it, otherwise it'll go bad pretty soon. But you do have a Naga snake skin.
Okay. I feel like I've Naga witch.
I don't think
Okay,
so.
never mind. In a different context, perhaps. I would also like to take a short rest in this cavern.
Sure.
It feels safe.
You prop up against the crystal, and there's no other like sounds in here. It's very quiet. Take a short rest.
I'll do 3d8. Enough for a hot second. I just want to put my snake skin in here before I forget. Why won't it let me add a new one?
Do you have too much random shit in your inventory?
It's possible. I'm gonna do that right now. Great. I killed Snake all by myself. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling powerful. I don't even need my friends. Let's go. Dungeon down.
Onward.
Exploring onward in this cavern. If I could reach the end of it.
Make a investigation check as you go.
Oh, that's not right. Oh, anyone.
Yeah. As you're walking, you eventually find what looks like footprints in the dirt. You have no idea how old they are, but they look humanoid, and you feel like if they were really old, they wouldn't be around anymore from erosion and like whatever. So, footprints that are walking around some of these crystals, and like you see like shuffling spots where they seem to stop and like cluster around certain crystals and move on. Make a intelligence check to try and like follow them properly.
12.
Yeah, you wander around a bit. There's a lot of footprints. You don't really get a great handle on where they're leading, or
Is there anything special about the crystals that it seems to stop at?
Make an Arcana check.
13?
All the ones that seem to be like clustered are a lot smaller than the surrounding crystals. They're more blue in hue and a bit more. Most of the crystals in here are green. The one right in front of you, this kind of purplish blue one, is much smaller, but it does seem to be like, in particular, the focus of all the shuffling of the footprints. What significance it has, you don't know, but merely that it is significant.
Okay. Can I try to dig this one out using Molder?
It's really big. Like, it's still really big. It's probably, 2 tons of rock.
If I touch it, is it warm?
Faintly.
Just curious. So, I would like to know if there's any other entrances out of this cavern besides the one I came into.
So you keep wandering. It takes you the better part of like 20 minutes, but eventually you do find on the far eastern side, all the way over here, that there is a exit. The only exit you find, and it goes onward in a similar kind of smooth chamber. On the floor, you see a majority of these footprints going in and out.
As expected. Okay, I will very sneakily continue down this hallway now that I know there's something here.
Make a stealth check.
23.
23. You continue on. Stealthily.
It's a secret workshop, huh?
I haven't renamed them. But, eventually you come down to, like, stairs leading down to a metal, once again, structure. It is a hallway leading down to an intersection. You can see it ahead of you.
Okay. We are still looking with Mage Hand for glyphs, and we are still being very sneaky as we progress to the edge.
All right, you pass a set of double doors.
It's interesting. Okay, I'll pass them. That's fine.
All right. You see this intersection. You haven't encountered anything yet.
And peek both directions and just see. Peek my head outside without like actually putting my body out.
A splitting hallway with 2 other sets of double doors.
What's at the far end of that hallway?
Ignore that. That's just a wall.
Okay. We got 3 doors. I will pick the furthest door over here.
All right.
And try to open it.
It swings open with ease. You step through and find yourself in a very strange room. In the center, you see this massive, like, slowly rotating series of planetoids, and they move suspended in the air of their own accord. In the corner, a bunch of lab equipment. In the top left corner, like all sorts of strange arcane runes and drawings and things that you don't quite understand. Make a history check. $15?
16.
Oh. Yeah, you walk over and, like, look at it briefly. From your education in the academy, you begin to see certain similarities in the way some of this is laid out. You understand the basic, like, grammar of magic. This appears to be some kind of lab. What it all means, what the intent behind it is, you really don't know. But as you're, like, looking over the stuff, you hear a kind of moaning noise behind you. And staggering out from behind this large, towering structure in the corner, you see a hooded and robed figure. The robe's tattered and old, bearing the symbol of the Velki Enclave. And the face of this individual, as it turns towards you, is sunken, the eyes glassy and decayed. It glowers towards you for a moment, blinks, well, it doesn't have eyelids, and then raises a hand in your direction. What are you doing?
I am taking as many of those scrolls and papers as I can and shoving them into my bag.
All right.
And then I am declaring to him, "You have no business here. Leave me be," and then walking back out the front of the
You turn and start walking away. You're wearing the Velki Enclave robes. Make a performance check.
22.
22. You turn and like confidently stride away. This thing stays behind, like hand raised, but seemingly confused, silent, as you walk back out through the doors, closing them behind you.
I'd like to lock them if I can, if there's a lock.
There's no lock.
Okay, then I'll just cast the alarm spell on them in
Okay.
case he comes back out.
Alright, you alarm the doorway, and find yourself now with an armful of scrolls.
Which I will shove into my bag and read later. Carefully.
Sure.
I would actually need a pad of paper to put all of this down.
There's a lot of stuff.
I'm not prepared. Okay, next door. That was fun.
Alright. Over here, the door is open, and inside you see like a, not a terrarium, what's the term for, like a greenhouse, if you will? The same like lights on the ceiling, these flickering blue-white lights, are a lot brighter, there's more of them, and they cast a light over a bunch of like shrubs and plants in here. In particular, you see like towards the center back, a large flower blooming. Smells pretty bad in here.
I am not going to get anywhere near those plants, but I will investigate the rest of the room as thoroughly as possible.
Make an investigation check.
I fear the plants are alive. Ow. 19.
As you walk around the perimeter, keeping an eye on the plants and looking down at like the barrels, as you lift off the lid on one and look inside, you see like dirt. Before you move to the next one, you hear a kind of rustling behind you. You glance back over. In the midst of one of the plants, you see a humanoid shape kind of stir. It starts pushing and crawls out of these like pile of flowers and vines and begins staggering towards you like a zombie of sorts. But you see that it's like mostly plant. There is a tether attached into its like back as it staggers towards you.
How far away is it? Where on the map would it? How long is that tether?
It reaches all the way back to like the large flower in the back.
Huh. Okay, I am gonna do a similar thing. I'm gonna activate my boots of speed. I'm gonna come to this table over here, which looks like it has lots of nice, goodies.
Sure.
Wipe some stuff, and then fuck off again.
Alright, you shovel some of that into your bag. As you're doing that, you see the entire massive thing of flowers lift up out of the wreckage and begin shambling forward. As it does, two more of these undead things plop out of it, get up to their feet, and start walking towards you. They are coming after you, coming towards you.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm leaving as soon as possible.
You zip out through the door, closing it behind you, I assume.
Closing it behind me, maybe trying to put something in front of it. No, there's nothing in the hallway. Can I have more than one alarm spell at a time?
As you run towards the door, the alarm spell goes off in your head.
Oh no.
You run out into the hallway and see this thing standing there looking at you from down the hallway, confused.
I am going to tell it that I accidentally triggered what's-his-name's beasts over there.
It hoarsely says some words in a language you don't understand and goes... Make a deception check. With disadvantage.
I don't speak language.
22. It raises a hand again, and you watch as an arcane, purplish energy begins to glow in the center and flashes out towards you. I need you to roll initiative.
22 doesn't believe you. I didn't have a chance.
It's already highly suspicious.
21 initiative.
21. All right, Porkchop, you go first. Well, I'll say it's going to do one attack at you. Let's see. Does a 8 hit? No. So it blasts out this purple blast towards you. You dive out of the way. Your turn. Behind you, you hear the moaning of these zombies seemingly like staggering down towards you in this extra hall.
I super fucked myself up. Okay, I don't want to fight these guys on both sides, so what I'm gonna do is I have my boots of haste still from swiping all that stuff.
Yep.
So I'm at 90 defense speed. At 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. I'm going to run up to him, use my mage hand to stab him with advantage.
Alright.
My magic dagger. That's 26 to hit.
That'll hit.
I'll do my 37 damage to him.
Alright.
And then I will come back up this hallway so that I don't have to fight them all at once.
You dart back up the hallway.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Yeah.
You have 45 more? How far do you have left?
So I had 90. I just did I think I did 30 to get to him.
Okay, so 60. You can get all the way back up to the entrance if you wanted.
I'll go to the foot of the stairs.
Sure. Run back up to the foot of the stairs. And that's where you end your turn. You hear like moaning and groaning, some kind of ruckus going on beyond your view. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. This guy steps into view around the corner, looks in your direction. You see it step around the corner, and then hold one arm in the air and wave, and as it does, you see it go, disappears from view, reappearing right behind you. And it will reach down and slice at you with a claw.
Damn.
That is a 10 to hit.
Not hit.
It misses you. Your turn.
Great. We're gonna come up this hallway together. Stab him with advantage. In my bonus action. With advantage. 21 to hit.
That'll do it.
Roll that stabby stab.
Alright.
7 damage. And then I'm gonna keep coming up this hallway.
Alright, so I'll say you go how far?
I will go I'll go as far as I can because I want to get out of sight of him, if possible.
It's a pretty long tunnel, so like he can see you, but yeah, you can go another like 50, 80 feet back, so he can't quite reach you. You're definitely far away from whatever else is in this area. You go down the tunnel far away. On its turn, it's going to point a finger towards you, keep walking after you. Let's see, what has it got?
Taunt him a little bit.
Alright. Make a wisdom saving throw.
Thank God.
You're lucky.
23.
It casts a spell in your direction. I guess, would you have absorbed the spell or tried to like tough it out?
I'm truly not sure because my rod is kind of like running low, but also I'm so scared of these fuckers.
Yeah.
It's like I honestly don't know.
We'll say that you were running away, you didn't look back in time. You feel the spell try and grab hold of you, but you shrug it off. Good thing that you did too. Paralysis is nasty. Okay.
Oh no.
Your turn.
Didn't really move forward, did he?
Well, I'm not moving them because like I know that you can keep it a long distance from them if you want. We're just like in theater of the mind now. So you're, I'll say 50
I
feet
guess
away.
I'm wondering how, how much do I have to use to go stab him and then run away again?
It's up to you.
If he stayed at my full distance and just cast it from a distance, and I have to run and then stay next to him.
If you want to keep stabbing him, you have to be like 40 feet away. He's gonna keep walking towards you and casting spells if he can the whole time.
Okay. I'll just keep playing the same game. I'll just run up, stab him, and run away until further notice.
That'll hit.
Plus 11, 26 to hit.
Yeah. With that third stab, you sneak attack him to death, and he collapses, crumbling into ashes at your feet, with his robe falling around him. You look down the hallway, and you do see that massive shambling flower thing at the far end of the hallway, surrounded by several of its little minions.
Perfect.
Slowly
I'm
making
fireball
its way.
those motherfuckers.
Okay. Slowly making its way towards you. Let's see. I made this special scene just for this. Not to take away from it, I just want to get the cool fireball template that I got. I want it. There. Copy. Back to that one. There. Oh no, it's all messed up. Whatever. Anyway, fireball.
That's still pretty cool.
They have to make saves, right?
Let's make deck saves.
It's gonna be 4.
Plants, I hope they have bad decks.
They all fail. Definitely.
Nice. I have a fireball, I thought. Yeah.
Huh.
37 damage.
Yeah, you destroy the minions and blast that thing for its full damage. It rears back, kind of tentacles flailing. You hear moaning and horrific noises from it. Is that your turn?
Rest of my movement, I'm gonna back away from it as far as I can.
Okay.
I'm just gonna keep fireballing it from a distance.
It keeps following you. How many fireballs are you going to use? Until it's dead, or what?
Yeah, basically.
So roll a couple more fireballs to see how much damage you can deal with that.
So, assuming that it's saving or not.
It's not going to save, but it's in a small hallway.
Never gonna save.
Yeah, so it's still alive. That's 2 fireballs.
2 fireballs. Okay, I am out of my 3rd level spells at this point, so I will... How bad does it look?
I mean, it looks awful. It's burning, but it's still shambling towards you. You see every now and then another humanoid thing plops out of it and staggers up, and then it's immediately incinerated by a fireball.
Huh. Oh gosh, I don't remember how many... I'm trying to figure out where I recorded how many fireballs my necklace still has. I'll use some charges from the wand to keep firing. So I'll do another one. See what happens to it.
Which one?
Fill up. I'll use some stealth blocks from the wand with the bonus searcher.
Oh, to cast fireball. Got it.
Cast fireball.
It's still alive.
Alive. I'll give it one more.
All right, with that last one, you blast it for the 5th fireball in a row in this hallway. It incinerates what's remaining of this horrible creature. As it does, the smoke clears and you smell the stench kind of roll up the hallway. Horrible, horrible smell, even at this distance. But as it burns slowly to a crisp, you see nothing moving. You sense it's safe to return. I just see Porkchop
I'm really gonna be happy.
throwing fireballs down the hallway.
Causing massive explosions in this small cavern.
I'll get back to that in a second.
Fucking amazing.
Be right back.
Great. Alright, we have
So-
incendiary planties.
The smoke clears. It's quiet. What do you do?
Take a deep breath, collect myself, and then head back to... Actually, I want to fully explore the Arboretum before I open the last door.
Alright. Yeah, you go back and around to the Arboretum. As you go, you have to step over like the pile of the corpse of the dude that like was chasing you, and the ashes of all these other things. Make a... What's your passive perception?
14.
Yeah, as your Porkchop, you'd notice as you're like going past it, you notice that the corpse of this thing that was following you, the dead guy, while he's been like he's burning, his robe is not, and seems to have been unaffected by the multiple fireballs.
What the fuck? I take it off of his dead body.
You rip it off and hold it up and shake it a bit. It's sort of like undergarments, like clothing that you could wear. Not like underwear, but like just like a sort of gentle undershirt that would go under anything you normally wear. And it's got the same sort of circuitry
Appears
pattern.
to be resistant.
Same circuitry pattern across the entirety of it, and like it shimmers and like feels super light in your hands.
Interesting. I'm assuming it's resistant to fire in some way, right? Or it's just generally magical.
Definitely seems magical.
In the bag.
In the bag.
Definitely in the bag. Oh no! Oh, I'm erasing my list! Okay, I need to write my list.
Oh no!
Continue.
You head out into that space, and yeah, it's as you saw. There's still a lingering stench from whatever that flower thing was, but you don't sense any other movement. It seems clear.
I guess I particularly want to go investigate like that table where I swiped some stuff, and also the stuff that they swiped, probably.
Yeah, just make an investigation check overall.
If there's anything.
You find more like written notes, again in a language you don't know how to speak, you don't recognize, but it's all just like handwritten notes. You don't decipher anything from it.
Okay, those are coming with me, along with the other guys' notes. To figure out what they were doing down here.
Mm-hmm.
Later. And yeah, I want to go investigate the lot of creepy monster plants.
Yeah, you go look at them.
Well,
They're very weird. They vaguely resemble a lot of the plants that you saw up on the surface, like trees and shrubs that like are of a similar shape and look, but they're obviously different. Like they have way too many branches growing out of one stalk. You look at it, like squint at it closely, and see some of the leaves like curl and like fold and unfold kind of reflexively, like fingers. It's a little off-putting.
okay, I will leave that to some weirdo experimentation stuff and not mess with it too much.
All
I guess
right.
it's time to go open the last set of doors.
You open the last set of doors, and you see a bright glow emanating from a covered chamber in the top corner of the room.
I actually am more... I mean, I'm interested in that, but I want to see what's over here in the corner first.
Sure. You see like bookcases covered in like shelves and lots of notes. Some are like tables covered in chunks of crystal, things that have been like linked together, and lots of wires and whatnot. Make an Arcana check. Yeah. it seems like there was just a lot of experimentation going on in this room. Nothing in particular that stands out. Yes. You keep everything in your bag, right? You don't like walk around holding a million things, right? So yeah.
That implies that there's something in my bag that I could activate, and I won't use that information because I wouldn't have ever like put things in my bag. That's not fair. Okay, let's go figure out what the large glowing thing is.
There's a ladder. You climb up the ladder and look down. At the base, you see like a large amount of mined crystal, all kind of lumped together. It seems to pulse with like a dim greenish glow, and even though it looks to be kind of blue in hue, you get the sense that this may be connected to the crystals in the previous room, the blue crystals that had more attention. They seem to have been like harvested in some way and tossed in here. All along the walls you see pipes and strange things kind of sticking out into the chamber, but what they do you don't know.
So, never mind. I was trying to figure out if that kid that came here that got the disease could have gotten this far. I feel like there are too many monsters that he probably would not have made it this far. I take a ball bearing and throw it into the pit.
It clinks and settles into the crystal, no problem.
So, sorry, I think I misinterpreted. It's not liquid. It's like one large crystal?
No, don't look at the image for too much inspiration. It's just sort of like a cylindrical pit. At the bottom is a large pile of blue crystal, but it's glowing kind of green color. There are like strange spikes sticking up from beneath where the crystal like are laying. There's pipes all along the perimeter, pipes that go around from this container up into the ceiling, all along the walls. It's just a strange apparatus containing a lot of these crystals. What it does, you don't know.
Can I go look at some of these notes that are on the main desk and see if there's any like instruction manuals?
Yeah. So you go over to this like large desk area with a big chair. It's very dusty, and you don't see what you see on the map. You see a like flat panel of like black obsidian, smooth and featureless, covered in like tons of fingerprints and dust.
Are there papers on the obsidian?
It's just like a big flat slab.
I like to pull out the cube that was giving me the little ping.
Sure.
See what it's telling me now.
Pull out the cube and look at it. It's still faintly glowing. As soon as you pull it out and hold it in your hand again, you see along the floor the blipping lights once again. It seems like holding it allows you to see these visual cues. There are dots along the floor leading to this position, this table right in front of you, and more in the hallway beyond going elsewhere.
Okay, I will go look at where the other ones are leading. So I imagine the other desks.
Yeah, basically that. They just take you to the other desks. In the first room you went into, back over here, there is a dotted light that goes to the far eastern side of this room to a wall that seems to be like a bookcase, but the dotting light goes underneath the door, underneath the bookcase itself.
Secret bookcase door. Can I slide it open?
Make a intelligence check.
Straight checks. Roll terribly, and I have no plus.
You walk up and look at it. Seems like a bookcase. You feel like there's probably something behind it, but you
I
don't know how to
wanted-
get around it.
Pulling out all of the books and see if any of them are levers.
You pull down all the books. Nope.
I look around the rest of the room and see if there's like a button that will open the bookcase.
Investigate. Yeah. You go all around. You eventually go over to the, all the notes in the chair and the globe, and you find a small lever embedded next to the chair underneath a small, pile of books that look like they were intentionally placed around it. You pull the lever, you watch as the bookcase swings open, and there's a room beyond.
Cool.
You step into it, and you're unfortunately immediately mentally transported back to some of the implements and visual of what you found beneath Brooksburg. There is an unfortunate amount of skeletons and containers with shriveled hands and stuff in here that would imply the frequent use and experimentation with dead things. There's a pentagram inscribed on the floor and a large table with handcuffs on it. You don't fully understand what its purpose is, but clearly a secret room meant for less than pleasant things.
Various things. I'm wondering what the heck the cube, why would the cube be made to show me random secret rooms? Why would they make a cube in the first place that does this if the room isn't important to something larger than their independent activities? I do a intense sweep of this room and see.
Nat 20. Yeah.
Nat 20!
You dig around. You do find nothing in particular stands out, but you do find a large book, a tome. You pick it up and look at it. The surface of it is made of skin, and you flip it open and look through. It is a manual of clay golems. With the knowledge contained within this book, you can craft and enchant and empower a golem that would be your servant, essentially. It's a process, but something that can be done.
Indefinitely?
It's a magical item. I think it's manual of actually, let me roll for it. Well, shit. Never mind. It is a manual of stone golems.
That's it. Oh, that's much more expensive.
So basically, you have to spend 90 days working uninterrupted on it, and paying 80,000 gold pieces. But when it completes, the book burns and goes away, and you get a stone golem at your bidding that understands you and does everything you want. Stone golem is a pretty powerful creature.
It's pretty awesome. I would have it to carry me around like a queen.
Yeah, Stone Golem has 178 hit points, AC 17, it's CR 10, and it just does whatever you want, basically.
That's pretty fucking cool. Okay. I have a stone servant. So what the heck is happening with these stones and magical creatures? Okay. I want to back to the crystal room.
Yeah.
And try to chip off a piece of a stone.
All the way back to the crystal.
Like the original
cave.
crystal cavern. Yeah.
Make a sleight of hand check.
I can do that. 28.
28. Roll a 6. 28.
I can't roll for shit.
I know.
So that's great.
Rogues are just good at everything. You're prying off one of the crystals, and then as you're about to crack it off, you feel it start to violently vibrate in place, and you're like, oh. You dive out of the way, and as you chip off that particular crystal, it explodes in this lightning kind of explosion, and shrapnel flies everywhere. You stand back, and you're like, maybe I shouldn't do this without proper understanding of how you harvest these things.
Great, I'm gonna grab one of the shards that flew off.
It's a very small little chunk.
And go back to the hit a crystal and drop it.
All right, you drop it in. Clink. That's it. Make an insight check. Yeah, you just feel like the cube has some purpose beyond just being like a guiding thing. You don't really know what.
Drop the cube in. No, I don't actually want to do that. Can I fiddle with it some more and see if I like change the box if it does something different?
You just twist it for a bit, trying to like figure out what to do with it. You twist it one way, and all the blinking lights disappear on the floor, and you watch as suddenly the obsidian slab nearby is suddenly covered in glowing runes and like holographic imagery as it floats over it. As you hold the cube, he's gonna look over at it, and you're momentarily confused.
Cool. What are the runes of?
You walk over. There is a lot of stuff. It's very dense. Just this massive holographic display. You walk around it in 360 degrees. Try to like understand what you're looking at. Make a Arcana check with advantage. All right, 12 and 12.
Solid. +4. 16.
You think back to what you've learned at the academy, your lived experience in Brooksburg and beyond, and look at what you're seeing. It resembles, in essence, a portal. A very large one, from what you can tell. At least a depiction of one. The runes all around it seem to be describing it, or at least like discussing, like providing information about it, but they're not in a language that you can read. You don't understand it. And what languages do you speak?
Common, and thieves can't.
Yeah, no, you don't know what this is. And so you like. You recognize the script, but it could be Elven or Dwarvish, you don't know. And you, just make an intelligence check for me. You look at that, and you look at how this like hovering holographic image of this like rotating portal seems to be over like a kind of dome shape, and then beneath it there are like lines running down to what resembles some kind of there's a symbol for like lightning beneath it, and it's pulsing like a faint green. It seems to be like you're not entirely sure what that means, but there's also like interactive tools in this holographic display. You see a large button that appears to be blinking green, a button that seems to be blinking red. You don't entirely know what to do with all this.
Oh no. I pressed the button. I pressed the green one.
Press the green button. As you do, the hologram disappears. All of the blinking kind of blue lights that are on the walls go dim, and it gets very quiet for a few seconds. And then all of a sudden, from the pit next to you, this immense roaring inferno of green light and energy straight up into the ceiling. And make a dexterity saving throw for me.
Never pressed the button. 21.
21. You save, but you take 7 force damage as you dive out through the doors into the hallway beyond. Staring back at this thing, it hits you like a blast of energy. You don't entirely know what you're looking at. It's blinding, greenish light, and you can't quite look at it, but like the entire structure that you're in is shaking, like vibrating. Something's happening.
It's continuing to happen?
Yes, this thing, if anything, it's increasing in intensity.
I want to peek through the doors.
The other doors?
No, these doors. I thought they had closed. Never mind.
No, they're still wide open. You can't like look quite at it, but whatever is in that pit is burning with an intensity you can't imagine.
I am going to wait and see what happens.
All right, you wait 10 seconds, 15 seconds. You keep glancing. Nothing is changing. The intensity is very long, very high. It's so intense, actually, that little bits of rock are beginning to detach from the ceiling, and like you hear kind of like this creaking and groaning of the metal of this entire structure. It seems to be under intense stress from this whatever is happening here.
Alright, I'm gonna go back to the desk, see if I can activate the holograms again, and then press the red button.
You try to interact with the hologram, nothing arrives. The holograms aren't responding.
Okay.
Make a dexterity saving throw as another pulse of this energy emanates outward from this space. Nat 20, you save but take 12 force damage as you're blasted again, staggering away from the table.
I don't because it's rogue, but it's fine. Oh fuck! I can't just leave. This is the answer to all of the problems these people have been having.
Make a dexterity saving throw.
Play with the cube desperately. 15.
As you're like trying to figure out what to do, a large chunk of steel beam detaches from the ceiling from the intense vibration and slams down on your shoulder, dealing 17 bludgeoning damage to you.
Jesus Christ.
It seems like this entire place is
I'm
falling
leaving. Fine. I'm leaving.
You turn and begin to run.
Back out the way I came. Back.
You run up the hallway, back through the crystal cave. As you do, boulders are just raining from the ceiling. Make a... let me check here. Make a insight check.
Sorry, I was reading the chat. Unfortunately, not as fun. Insight check, 15.
Yeah. So as you're looking up, watching like the cracks forming in the ceiling, and these quartz crystals like collapsing and falling over, diving in and out of them, you see how it's about to like collapse in one area. You dive around that, doing your best to avoid it, and then it crumbles, falls to the ground, crushing all the space beneath it. You run past it and keep running back out into the main chamber at the far northern side of whatever that area is. You find yourself back in the main area. What are you doing?
Is this area also crumbling?
Yeah, you see like cracks in the floor. Water is like streaming through them. Things are falling from the ceiling. The lights are like flashing rapidly.
I guess I'm fucking leaving, but before I do, I want to go back to the door and see if the destruction has caused a small crack that I can get through now.
Sure. So you run back through the entire
Literally
space.
with the world falling apart.
Make a dexterity
also
saving
boots
throw.
of haste so that I can like...
Yeah.
Boots of speed so that I'm going fast.
You save and take half damage, so
Okay.
9 bludgeoning damage as another thing collapses and like bashes you on the shoulder. You dive out of the way. You make it back to the door. It's still closed.
Wow! It's metal, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I'm leaving permanently.
All right. You run out to the door, making your way all the way out, back out into the open air. As you do, and you run outside of this structure, you hear like crashing and tearing noises from behind you. Turn around and look. Above this hill, floating above it, and about 60 feet in diameter, a gargantuan green, torn open hole in space-time hovers, floating slowly in space. There is a beam of green energy erupting from straight beneath it that seems to be forming and sustaining it. Through it, you see what looks like more forest, green, sort of open space.
I guess I'm going through, man. I don't have a choice.
Wait, what?
I'm gonna go up to the top of the hill. It looks like a portal.
Yeah, it's a massive portal.
Is anything coming out of it?
You run up to the top of the hill, you look through the portal. You just see a blue sky and oak trees as far as the eye can see. This portal's floating maybe.
Oh wait,
50 feet in the
is
air.
this like? Does it look like home?
Make an insight check. The wind is like just rushing all around the top of this hill. It certainly looks like trees you recognize, like species you recognize, unlike whatever the strange purple sky and like weird trees are here. Through it, you don't see anything familiar, it's just trees. But as you're like glancing, this portal shrinks spontaneously by 5 feet, continuing to like shimmer in place.
I feel like I have to go through it. I go through it.
You dive through. You fall 10 feet, tumble, catch yourself, and look around. You're in like a rough clearing. Boulders all around. And as you look behind, look up at the sky, you see the same 55-foot wide portal hovering in space through it, the purple sky and jungles of Arborea. And beyond it, in the other direction, you do see the very distant tower of the Order of the Grasping Fist on a distant hillside.
How far away is it?
The tower? Probably like a couple miles.
Run a couple miles pretty quick.
Can. As you glance up, you see
but
the portal's
portal's
shrink another 5 feet.
closing. I call to Saloon, silently pleading her to hold the portal open for long enough for me to get the people through onto our plane.
Make a religion check.
It's 18.
18. You yell that to the wind and hope that it works. What are you doing, Porkchop?
I have any reason to believe that the people at the Grasping Fist, like my friends, can hold the portal open?
This stuff? No.
Not really.
This is, from what you can tell, whatever you did at the bottom seemed to trigger something or turn something on, and that is powering this portal. That technology, that magic, whatever it is, it's far beyond any knowledge that anyone here would have.
And so I guess what's the timeline here? Like, it's a 55-foot portal and it's shrinking how much every
You can do some quick mental math. Make an intelligence check.
Okay.
Based on what you've seen so far, how long it took you to get here, you think you have maybe 25 minutes?
Not long enough. Anything.
You think about how long it took for you to get from the treetop village to the ruins. Walking, it was probably about half an hour.
Yeah, they couldn't. The entire village couldn't get here in time.
Well, that's a question. That's not a certainty. You know that running, you could get here in probably 15 minutes.
I could get here with boots of haste and shifted in like faster, meaning I could get back to the village much faster.
You could get back to the village in probably 5 to 8 minutes with full-on speed Porkchop.
Worth a fucking shot, I guess. I turn on the jets and just sprint.
Are you hasting?
I am hasting, I am boots of speeding, I am shifted.
Now, hasting lasts for 1 minute. How many hastes do you want to burn along the way? Because if you're hasting, you can get there in probably 3 minutes. So that'll be 3 hastes to do it.
I used all my fireball, my 3rd level spells. Sure. Okay, give them a chance. These people need me. I'll burn my rock absorption.
All right.
Spells.
So,
Haste.
climb a tree dive back through the portal, landing on the hilltop. The wind's just rushing all around you. The trees nearby, like bowing underneath the forest. Oh, I have a platform or a map for this. Damn. I always forget that I put in all this work. It's fine. So, Porkchop, you find yourself on top of this hill with this portal like twisting nearby, and you turn on the jets, casting haste on yourself, and clicking your boots and just blasting into the woods in the direction of the town. As you're running, you run past Displacer Beast, like sniffing the side of the trail, which turns around in confusion. You run past some twisting vines. The tree is like lingering over the path, seemingly reaching for you. You fly past all of it to the base of the village. You made it here in record time, probably about 3 minutes, and you sense that the amount of time that's passed, you have maybe 20 minutes left before the portal closes.
I'm going to run straight to the place where I had the conversation where I assume that he hangs out.
You climb the tree rapidly, as is the only alternative. The elevator is up, and you land up on the top area. You see Crag there, currently like skinning a small mammal of some kind. He looks up as you like blur into the existence in front of him.
Crag, I opened the portal to my plane. If you guys want to come to my plane.
And he like waves his hand, does the whole incantation. He says, now we may speak. What is it that you have learned?
I opened the portal to my plane. If you want to get your entire village to the portal, you have 20 minutes to do so. You must leave now and run.
You are certain this is possible? Make a persuasion check with advantage.
Right. 22.
22. He says, like, this could be our only chance. So be it. Gather all the little ones that you can. Bring them to the base of the tree. And he begins running off, shouting at the top of his lungs. Everywhere people stop and stare. And, like, within maybe a minute, you've mobilized the entire village. You have 19 minutes as they begin to scramble and gather their things. You see one family, like this one woman is like currently running around picking up like you see like a blanket and like a basket, and like she's reaching for like this like jar of like cold meat or something. She's trying to like get all these things. Definitely holding up the whole evacuation.
Yeah, go over to her and I don't have tongues, do I? She doesn't understand me. I'm just going to like vigorously point to like, Craig, now, 2, 0, immediate, like, go.
Yeah. Since your default roll is 22 on persuasion, we'll just say that like you gesturing that and like trying to like convince her to just drop it. She gets the message and sadly looks around and grabs just a blanket, puts it over her shoulders, and runs to the edge of the camp. 18 minutes remain.
I'm going to wild shape into a mammoth and gather all of the children onto my back.
On the ground, I assume. Not up in the treetops.
Yeah, on the ground. I guess, I don't know, how dense are the trees? Can I run like a mammoth?
You cannot mammoth jump between the trees tops. You would crush the trees.
No, like, I mean, like on the ground.
Oh, no, you could totally run on the path as a mammoth.
Between the trees.
Alright, so you need to make a series of 4 sequential checks to make this evacuation happen. What are you doing? You're still up in the treetops. They're gathering in the elevators. How are you assisting?
I am generally, like, doing rallying. So going to, like, the problem points that I see and having people be like, no, leave it, like I did with the woman. Come on, we need to go.
Make a perception check to see where those people are and to, like, find them and help them. Plenty good.
22.
You do that. You shepherd them best you can. You get them onto the elevators, you help them down, and within a couple minutes, you're down on the ground. 16 minutes remain.
I guess, are they going in the treetops? Is that their plan? Or are they going on the ground?
They're all on the ground now. You see the entire village, probably about 40 to 50 individuals are now around the base of the tree, and like many are rushing down the path. How are you assisting them to go further?
Yeah, so for the ones, basically whoever is like extra slow, so probably like the children or the ones who are sick or elderly, I will wild shape into a mammoth and like use my trunk to like put them on my back and then just like run them forward.
As a mammoth, make a strength check to gather them all up and drag them.
Oh man, the strengths are high. Internet's being slow. Plus 7. 15.
15. Yeah. Easy enough. That matches the DC. You gather them up, about 15 or so individuals on your back, the invalid, and the children, and you begin galloping towards the front of the column, leading them into the direction of the woods. It's slow going compared to your initial return, and you, based on the math in your head, best you can tell, you feel like you're on track. You've got about 8 minutes left as you continue down this road, booking it as fast as you can. You come around and you see and break the trees the portal ahead at the top of the hill. It is probably about 15 feet wide. What are you doing?
I'll silently send another player to both Saloon and Malar to please hold the portal to the best of their ability, you fucking jackasses.
Make a religion check.
It's plus 4. 11.
11. You pray as hard as you can, and you continue to stare, and you watch the portal shrinks down to 10 feet in diameter.
I'm gonna...
You're at the base of the hill. You see there's maybe 100 feet left with the most of the group with you. What are you doing?
We're gonna make it in time? Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna run up to the portal. I'm gonna, like, encourage everyone that I have on my back to, like, jump through the portal, taking them with my trunk and basically, like, throwing them through.
Yep. Okay. So you charge ahead of the able-bodied, and you begin chucking the weak and children and elderly through this portal as fast as you can. Make a sleight of hand check as a mammoth.
What even does that mean?
Use the dex of a mammoth instead of your own dex.
-1. It's a 4.
Well, you still have reliable talent, though, right?
Oh, that's true.
So
That's a 9.
and proficiency, so like you don't lose that. So it's
Yeah, so it's like I rolled a 10, but I still have a -1 as a mammoth.
so whatever your sleight of hand check would be, subtract 6 from that because you're losing +5 or plus. What's your dex score?
My mammoth dex score or my
Your normal
Porkchop
dex.
score? Plus 30.
Yeah. So you're losing 4. So what's your normal sleight of hand modifier?
18.
-4 is plus 14. So you're still getting that. So what'd you roll?
Okay, and then do I still have the so then it's base 10 plus 14, so it's 24.
Yeah, okay. Nonsense still. So good enough. Yeah, you chuck them all through. It shrinks to 5. You see that this beam of energy emanating from beneath the hill is like very narrow and thin and weak. It's kind of wavering at the edges. One by one, the individuals from the village are diving through. You see it shimmering and kind of flickering. There's maybe 5 people left. You're with them. What are you doing?
I'm trucking them through with my trunk.
Make
Just grabbing them and like...
All right. Make one more check to chuck them all through, and then nat 20. With that, you chuck them all through. You turn towards the portal and see that it's too small to fit a mammoth. What are you doing?
Yeah, no, I dropped the mammoth and dived through this Porkchop.
You charge full on as a mammoth towards the portal, shifting back into Porkchop as you do, into a long live form as you dive for the portal, seeing it shrink down to about 2 feet in diameter. You tuck and dive right through it as it rips shut behind you. You tumble to the ground. The entire village surrounding you as you stand in this clearing outside of the distant city of Avaricity, having evacuated the village safely, somehow.
Somehow. Okay. I'm gonna take a deep breath. I'm gonna ask Craig to cast tongues on me.
Crag is everyone is you have to they're all dying. Crag staggers over and he's like, I need to cast tongues on you.
Okay, everyone, we have a few moments now. Breathe, rest, take it in. We're safe. And then try to give them a little pep talk. Yeah.
What are you saying as pep talk?
I understand you had to leave your homes very quickly with no warning, and this is very difficult for you, and you had to leave many personal possessions behind, and I understand. However, this is a chance for everyone here to start over in a land that is plentiful and will provide for your needs much better than that land ever could. I will help to get you settled here, and I promise everything will be okay.
Make a persuasion check with advantage. 2 nat 20s. You speak, and the words seem to come to you naturally, more than you're accustomed to, as you take a strange sort of leadership role with all these eyes on Porkchop. It's a new experience for such a sneaky and person who usually avoids such direct gaze. But as you speak, and you just feel it coming, these words coming to you, almost as if something from beyond is guiding you and helping you speak clearly and with conviction. You see them all calm, catch their breath, and begin to look around their surroundings with wonder and excitement at the possibility of a new future for them all. Crag steps up and says, "We are grateful. You have truly done us a great service this day. However, this new land, I fear, does not have everything that we need." And he holds up and gestures to his arm once again. You see that it's still blackened and strange. He says, does this new land have a place where we can be healed of such things?
I say honestly that I am not sure, but I will take you to somebody who, if anyone would know, they would.
At this moment, you see Sumia Silvertail burst through the tree line, look around, and with obvious confusion on her face, even though her eyes are still closed, and she runs over and says, "I heard such noises, I felt a disturbance. What is going on? So many strange scents. Did you do it? Porkchop! I can't smell you. Are you here?"
I'm here. I brought the village of, oh god, I don't know what you call yourselves. Crag's village. We're here now.
She slows and comes over and smells the air and gently touches on the shoulder of several other people. They all kind of pull back a bit but watch with confusion. They've never seen an elf before. She says, "You did do it. Amazing, Porkchop."
They have a very urgent question to ask you, and I gesture to Crag to explain his predicament.
He walks over and does so. Sumia asks permission and leans over and sniffs deeply along his arm. And she says, "This is a curse, a dark one, too. I don't know what would have caused it, but I believe it to be curable with the proper medical and magical application. Some of my acolytes have the skills necessary to aid. I believe we can rid you all of this curse if we keep it contained here for a time."
Great. Can they come back to the tower and have lodging for the night?
She says, "Perhaps it is best to keep them away from the rest until we've dealt with this issue. This curse is very contagious, best that I can tell, and until we've cleared everyone here of it, yourself included, Porkchop, it may be best to keep them here at a distance. We will bring supplies and whatever we can offer. Togma's people have extra tents and whatnot.
That sounds reasonable. And I will stay with the people here while we wait to get cured for, I guess, as long as it takes. Just like make the space as comfortable as possible. Explain to everyone that we'll be here for a few days probably, and help everyone get settled best I can.
All right. It takes the better part of 2 days. They build a temporary shelter. People deliver stuff, and the acolytes of Saloon come, and with various medicinal salves and prayer begin to individually remove this curse from all of these individuals. They watch as they have a lighter look on their expression on their faces as the curse is removed. It leaves some scarring, but the horrible blackness is gone and just leaves hairless skin. They seem very happy and obviously are thanking these acolytes despite not being able to speak to them. As this goes on over the course of a few days, Crag comes up to you the morning of the second day. You can have a long rest if you'd like.
Good.
He approaches you and he's holding something in his hand and he says, "Porkchop, we are all very grateful to you. This is an heirloom passed down to the chieftain of our village over generations, and the leadership that you have shown to me and my people makes it clear that you should be the one to wield it going forward. It is called the Crimson Talon," and he pulls it out. You see a curved blade. It is like a machete, but angled at about 30 degrees in the middle. Do you know what a kukri is?
No, I'll look it up.
It's an Indian, in real life, it's an Indian blade, but it is a kukri. And it's made of a strange kind of orange metal with a ornate red hilt. You recognize the same symbol of the Velki Enclave on the handle, and he holds it out to you and he says, "I wish for you to have this. It is truly handed down to be of aid to us leaders, and I believe that it should be given to you now. We could never have made it out with my guidance, and only you could have done it for us."
I thank you for the honor. I am grateful.
You take it, and he says, "Take it with my blessing, and may it serve you well." You now have the magic item, the Crimson Talon.
Cool. This is the thing that you made?
Yeah.
Points lost to this weapon's damage can be regained only through a short or long rest, rather than by regeneration magic other means. For turning you hit a creature with an attack against magic weapon, you can wound the target at the start of each wounded creature's turn. It takes 1d6 necrotic damage for each time you wounded it. Oh wow, that's really good.
It's a stacking debuff.
Yeah. Neat.
And you can cast a couple spells out of it.
Charges it can be used to cast Passive Arbitration for one charge or Arcane Eye. Huh. This is so good. I love it.
Fancy weapon.
Or fancy Porkchop.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the second day, as the rest of the villagers have been cured, you hear Galaxia in your head cast Sending on you. Galaxia says, "Sorry about that, I didn't reach out yesterday. I was a bit occupied, but now I'm back in Uthorum, and how you doing?"
Well, I have a village of 50 people that I teleported from another plane. Any ideas what to do with them?
Long pause. No, I have no idea what to do with them. But congrats? Would you like some help?
That'd be great.
About 5 minutes later, Galaxia appears in Avaricity You hear another sending in your head. Where are you? I'm here in the center of town. I don't see you anywhere.
I don't know what direction we are from town.
You give her directions. 20 minutes later, Galaxia strides into this like isolationist camp, sees you and approaches and says, "Wow, that's a lot of people. Good job, I guess."
You know, trying to figure out where they can live. They need to start a new village, a new life. I'm thinking Crooked Rock.
Crooked Rock may not be a bad idea. Or maybe like somewhere else nearby, like make their own village, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, like near there in the Kilafane Wilds.
It definitely would be
similar to what their home was.
Yeah. I'll let Galaxia speak for Galaxia's opinions on the matter whenever we get back together as a group.
Okay. I'm hoping maybe she can help me to like teleport them there over the course of a few days.
All right, so you talk to her about that, and she says that she can use plane shift word recall. It's limited. No, it's not. Galaxia says, "Well, I actually do have a bit more power than the last time we spoke." She pulls out her trident. You see that it's like lightning is kind of crackling between the tines on the we know of the trident. She says, I think I could actually move them, all of them, today, if you'd like."
Amazing. I'll talk to Crag and make sure that he's all right with that, but sounds like a great idea.
You talk to Crag for the next 20 minutes and you discuss what your options are. He agrees that an area that is similar to what they're familiar with would be best. They can probably adapt and reestablish themselves without all their tools. They're very handy. They know how to, survive on the land. But yeah, someplace new where they can start over would be ideal.
We'll ask Sumia Silvertail to spare whatever supplies they can to get them started, tools and food and makeshift shelters and such.
Yes, they do that. For the rest of the day, they basically bring out all the extra supplies they can spare: bedrolls, knives, rope, rations, everything they can scrounge up. Both Togma and Sumia helping out where they can.
And when everyone's ready, we'll take them to their new home.
All right. With that, at the end of the day, as the sun is setting, Galaxia steps forward, plants her trident on the ground, waves her hand in a large arc, and then ripping open a very similar 30-foot wide diameter portal, this one on the ground, opens up. Through it you see the tall redwood-like trees of the Kilafane Wilds, and she gestures as the entire village moves through it all at once, without much haste this time. You all step through together. Togma and Sumia stay behind and wave as you go. And as you all step through, they shout, "We'll be in contact. We'll reach out sometime and travel there. We just need to prepare here. We'll bring airships. Take care." And Galaxia waves the trident again as the gate slowly swirls shut and closes behind you. All of you.
Awesome.
She shrugs her shoulders and says, yeah, that's pretty awesome. I've been working on my skills recently.
Casual.
Well, I'll tell you later. Crag approaches and says, "Thank you so much. This is just like home. We shall get started. Is there a village nearby?"
Actually, yes. And I will, if we're near, I'll take him actually to Crooked Rock and formally introduce him to everyone there and to my mom, and so they have contact and help if they need it.
Yeah, actually, as you walk up the path towards Crooked Rock, you've arrived pretty close, near the swamp. Diving out of the trees, a gargantuan gray cat lands in the middle and snarls at everyone, and then sees you, Porkchop, stops abruptly, comes over, purring and turns about, happy to see you. And she turns and says, since she is wearing the ring of tongue, says to you, "Oh, my darling daughter, it's been so good to see you again. It is so good to see you again. Who are all these folks? And they all look very similar to you. Where did you get them from?"
No, right? I got them from another plane. There was like a disease and a curse, and I saved them and I brought them here.
Amazing. I'm so proud of you. You're so talented. Of course you are. You're my daughter. And you take them into town, and they are introduced to the villagers of Crooked Rock, and they begin to discuss about setting aside space, maybe a day's journey away, where they can form their own new city, where they could be comfortable in the trees, and eventually establish contact on the trade routes from Avaricity to begin to have supplies and really make a home for themselves here in the wilds. After you establish all of that,
so good.
it takes another couple days, but Galaxia offers to return you to Uthorum when your business is complete here.
Sounds great. Say bye to everyone and, take my leave in the best way possible.
As you're about to go, Chula walks up and grabs your hand and says, "Thank you, Porkchop," she says in broken common, as she has been learning the tongue of this land.
Pat her on the head and my pleasure. Make sure you do all your chores and, you're responsible.
She doesn't know that many words. She's like, "Thank you," and turns and walks back to her mom.
There. I tell Galaxia I'm ready to go.
Galaxia grabs your hand, and as all the village looks on waving, you teleport back to Uthorum, to your comfortable mansion, having survived your ordeal in Arborea.
Survived and saved the entire village. Not bad, not bad.
You go to bed that night. After all that ordeal, and you finally get some rest. Some good rest in a comfortable bed. As you're sleeping through the night, you hear the sound of birds chirping and the scent of wet grass and undergrowth. As you slowly, your consciousness begins to take all this in, you feel yourself back in the trees, the jungle of Arborea. And striding out towards you from the distance, from behind the tree trunk, that strange figure, that carving that you saw in the tent that you stayed in, this wooden statue, it comes walking forward. It's a form that you don't really recognize. Humanoid, human-like, but with long elven ears that end in tufted fur. The face is slightly furred in a dark black fur hue, but the general features are fairly elven. It smiles gently, and you see small fangs protruding from the underlip, and a black tail whips around behind it, almost like a baboon, if you will. It speaks to you, and you hear in your head the strange sort of intertwined voice, the tone, a dual tonality of it, both high and low, and it says, "Thank you, Porkchop, for your protection of our people. My children have long been lost due to the meddling of morons. Your tenacity and hard work has saved them, and you are forever in our gratitude." It bows, this figure, and as it does and straightens up, you see it suddenly, its form distort and warp, and it separates into two entities. You see standing before you Saloon and Mawar, both now distinct in their own way, and they both nod and turn and begin to walk away from you, separating out and going in opposite directions, out into the trees and the woods. They don't seem to have any particular animosity towards each other, and as the vision begins to slowly fade, you feel a sense of pride and peace at what you have wrought here. as the vision goes away and you wake up the next morning, you feel calm and rested and empowered to move forward into whatever the near future holds. You're now level 17, and you are done with our one-shot.
That's so cool that like the combination of Saloon and Malar into the whatever god they were worshipping.
Salunar.
Lunar.
Yes. You get the general sense that, like, because it's a different realm, and there are two moons here, but like the essence of what that deity is, they're like two sides of the same coin. They were always kind of at odds, but you kind of brought them back together in this realm. In Arborea, they may have never been separate, and so yes, it's a sort of reconnecting with that alternative version of themselves that you sort of forced upon them. With a
very neat. Also, I'm really mad that I couldn't open that door. So mad.
Oh well. You can't roll 25s on everything all the time, always.
Why not?
Now
that was super fun. I loved it.
Good. I'll end the stream now. If you're still watching, thanks for watching, guys. See you later.